$1. I said, you got to be joking.
Let's see, day twos. We'll see if Boyan has something like a bit of briefing and information for us. Boyan, could you give us some information, highlight what's happened today?
Yeah, we're waiting for the second race today, and this ground is very wet from the rain we had last night, and also we have a lot of upper cloud. So we're waiting to see if the temperature comes up enough, the thermals get going, and if there's enough of a cloudless area, an open area, that gives us enough time to make the race. We expect to make a decision in the next 20 minutes or so.
Okay, let's see.
Thanks.
Can we talk to you too? How are you today?
I am good. I am, looking forward to flying again.
Okay, so yesterday you had an interesting flight.
I was rubbish. The good thing about Grand Prix is you can try different things, and I pushed really hard for the first turn, but I just didn't connect with the climb. So I couldn't climb up. Everybody else went away, so I did my own thing.
Okay, today is another day.
That's the great thing. That's the great thing about Grand Prix. It doesn't matter. I haven't lost the contest. I can race again.
Let's do that. We will follow you.
Thank you, Claire.
See you.
Today's race was really quite an interesting one because the conditions we were flying in were very difficult. We had a lot of high cloud, overdevelopment passed through, and it was going to be a really tricky day. Luckily, everybody was at a good altitude to make the start, and we were able to see quite an excellent start, but the start altitude was quite low, which meant that there was a choice to go through the start line and try to go straight to the ridges to the north, or to take a sharp left turn from the start line and go back up the Marangues Valley to get altitude. Everybody went this way, two groups to the left, one back to the Marangues Valley, and the other one went straight towards the Puy-Moron Valley to climb on the end of Carlite. Except for Didier and for Gintas, who went off to the south, completely on their own. And we can see that the complete difference in the strategy, with Didier and Gintas flying along the south side of the valley, looking for lift, but getting lower and lower. The guys who turned immediately left, they climbed a little bit, and then they moved on to the top of the Pedro mountain and went to join the others on Carlite. Luckily, or with good strategy, Didier and Gintas found quite a good climb just before the turning point. And they were able to make quite a lot of progress. And we see that Mike Delta, Vladimir, he had flown straight to the turning point along the ridges, but it turned out to be a big mistake because he got lower and lower and eventually ended up quite low in the valley. But he did manage to climb away when he got back in the vicinity of the airfield. The rest of the competitors climbed on the north side of the valley on the Carlite mountain. Didier and Gintas managed to take the turn quite high, and they came the out of the turn much higher than all the other competitors who'd taken the northern route going in. And they had the pleasure of looking down on most of the pilots flying towards the turn. They flew to the end of Carlit where they were climbing, and they took as much altitude as they could get at that point. And we can see that still Louis and Lucas and Sebastian were well to the north, still climbing, heading for the turning point. Didier went even further north and climbed up to 3,200 meters, a very good altitude for today. But most people stuck on the lower ridges, getting really stuck on the end of Carlit and not being able to get a good altitude. The people who took the lower route to the left really suffered from it. And we can see that Didier was way ahead, a long way in front, heading along the lower ridge after the Andorra Valley and coming towards the turning point completely alone and a long way ahead of everybody else. In the meantime, most people had come back, were still heading to this turning point, and they were climbing on the north side of the La Rabassa, and we can see that Sebastian went even further to the north in the expectation of good lift. It was completely overcast at this point. There was overdevelopment to the north, and it was making the situation very difficult for everybody. Didier went through the turning point, and he went just beyond the turning point to find a climb, but it wasn't such a great climb. And Mike Young and John Gatfield and Peter from Australia had climbed up just the other side of the turning point, and Didier came back to join them. Didier ran back, and we can see already that Didier is a long way after the turning point, probably 20 kilometers in the lead, and Sebastian is climbing a long way to the north, trying to get a decent altitude. And Luca is still heading into the turning point. It's a critical moment now because Didier needs to climb. He's heading for the Andorra Valley. He'll cross the valley, and he's coming on to La Rabassa. We can see the slope at the bottom of the mountain of Monturil, and he's looking for the climb. This is a really critical place, and normally you climb very well. Adam is already there, still on his way to the turning point, and we can see Christoph and Vladimir are still heading to the west towards the turn point. Didier is a bit unlucky, it seems here. He didn't really get the climb. Sebastian in JS3, he had taken a great climb well to the north, 3,500 meters, and it took him right into the turn very high. Initially he started to head back to the north, but then changed his mind, and he decided he would go more on track in the direction of Monturil, in the direction that Didier had already gone. The other people who were leading at the time, Mike Young in 120 and John Gatfield, they'd gone north, but they didn't really get a good climb. At this point, Didier had arrived on the Carabassa mountain, and he really didn't climb. He got stuck there, and he found still competitors who were still actually on the way to the second turning point. He came to where you would normally expect it to be good, but he didn't get a climb. In the meantime, Sebastian found that climb on Monturil. He got the climb that Didier didn't get, but he did arrive quite a lot higher on the top, and that made a very big difference. And so we then are in a very different situation. Didier has climbed up a little. He's got just enough height for a final glide, but Sebastian is on Carlit, and he's very much higher, and he climbs well above final glide. They need more than final glide to take this turning point, which has been a bit marginal. And we can see the point at which Sebastian passes Didier. This is only 10 kilometers or so from the turning point, and Sebastian's got a lot more energy. He finds it easy to go around the turning point ahead, and effectively the race is over. When they take the turn, Sebastian takes the turn at a good altitude, Didier running in some 30 seconds behind him, and it's just a straight run home, and the race is over. Sebastian wins the day, and Didier comes in second place. There's quite a battle taking place for third and fourth, and for fifth and sixth. The points are really important, and so whilst these guys are passing each other and coming into the turning point, and Sebastian's on his way home, we will see the little fight that's taking place with most of the competitors still on the leg back from the west, trying to get some altitude. For third and fourth place, we have quite a close fight between Lukas Wojciech and Mike Young. Mike was 200 meters higher, 4 kilometers back when they started the final glide, but they close up to 1 kilometer. And we can see here the final glide coming into the airfield, and it's very, very close, but Mike never really manages to close that gap and ends up just 300 meters behind Luca at the last point. That was a great race for today.
So, congratulations.
Merci.
What a race. What makes you go so north? Did you take wave something? I want to know
No.
everything about it.
If you look at this clouds there, it's more than 3,800 meters cloud bases. So the weather was, the air mass is very unstable, and it was enough that we found some patches of sunshine, and it was producing strong thermals. But in the beginning, we were in the shadow in this valley, and that was a problem.
So you did a very, very good race. Didn't you know about Didier, just front of you, but lower?
I didn't know about him. Couldn't see anybody, so that was a surprise when I saw him. But I took a long way, relaxed.
You have your 10 points. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Have a good evening and see you for the podium.
See you.
Et c'est parti comme ça.
Hi, Didier.
Oh, Claire! Here you are.
I know. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So-
I'm really happy.
Yes, you can. You did a very, very good race.
Yes, it was
Tell us, what makes
exciting.
you
It was
leave,
interesting.
Like you left everyone in the back.
the big thing was the first leg, the first tunnel, and the option to go on the north side of the valley. First, it was medium. I was not sure, and we only were two gliders, which is always a bit, just. And at the second terminal, we got 2.5 and 3 on the maximum altitude, and we saw everybody 1,000 meters below. And then after that, I made the flight in front, I think. But Sebastian, I think I was a bit early at the second, the second point, and the sun just came again, and it was climbing, but very, very slowly, and lost a lot of time there.
Yes, mainly on a ridge when you came back. You were with the one that was going to the turn point.
Yes.
This must have been a bit frustrating.
For them, yes. For me, no.
Okay, so enjoy. You was a great race to follow you today. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
See you.
And in third position with 78.7 kilometers per hour, Lucas Volcic.
Okay.
Volcic. Good job, sir.
Thank you.
In second position, we have Didi House.
Thank you, sir.
It was very close.
So close. C'est du champagne de Cerdanya.
No, mais presque. And first position, we have Sebastian Kawa. With 85 kilometers per hour.
Thank you.
Sebastian.
Sebastian.
So Lucas was first yesterday. So let's see with him. Hi, Lucas. How are you today?
Fine.
So could you tell us a bit about yesterday's flight?
Yesterday it was very difficult flight in difficult weather. It was at the beginning it was difficult to stay in the air, but we could find a good lift at the beginning, and then convergence was very high. Then we waited for until the cloud with rain and or snow will move from our route. And then the weather was difficult all the day. Sometimes we could find normal thermals, but normally it was not. It was very turbulent, small bubbles, and it was good lesson for me of mountain flying.
How was the race with Mike at the end?
Yeah, I didn't see Mike behind me, but I saw on my farm that that I have a glider on my tail. I saw it's 500 meters or even 600 meters, something about this, and I tried to push really hard to be the first, and I was first. But Mike got hundreds of seconds of penalty, so he made a very big mistake yesterday.
Yes, that was a good race.
Yeah,
I hope same for today. Okay, let's see if Gintas is on his glider. Yes, he is. Careful. Hi. Can I borrow Gintas?
You can borrow Gintas.
Yes. How are you today?
I'm okay. How are you?
I'm good. How was competition until now?
Competition is not finished yet. You cannot say was.
No,
it
but
is still in progress.
Your previous day, you did really well.
No, I'm not doing well. There's top guys like doing well. Yesterday was not successful for me.
Your start was really, really good.
Start is not the finish. Finish must be very good. Start, it doesn't matter. You must be first on the finish line to be good.
Yes, but you must have had fun with...
Yeah. It was interesting day. Quite tricky, challenging, weak thermals, unstable. I was not able to get on the high route, so I was much slower than the top guys.
Yes, but today's another day. You're in a good place in the general. So do you have...
If you say so, I have to comply.
Do you have a specific strategy for today?
Strategy is simple, to be as top as possible on the finish line.
That's a good strategy.
Yeah, easy strategy.
See you later.
Thank you.
Be very careful here. Let's see the local pilot, Aldo. Hi, Aldo.
Hi.
How are you today?
I'm fine, thank you.
What did you think of the competition for now?
Well, it's been I'm having a lot of fun. I have to thank you all the organization for letting me be here because I was not classified. And it's an honor for me. It's a wonderful experience for me to be here.
You already flew Grand Prix in Cerdanya several times.
With 50 meters, yeah, it's much. I did it twice with a 50 meter, yeah.
Is that one different?
It is because this is not my glider and I don't know it. It would be funny with 50 meters.
Okay, as a local pilot, what is your strategy for today?
I'm not a really local pilot because it's not my club. I think those guys have even more experience than me, but we are quite similar. I don't have different ideas than them. So I don't have any advantage. Sorry. I'm sorry for that.
That should be fun. I wish you a good flight.
Thank you. See you. Bye. Thank you.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We are in. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the third race of Grand Prix finals here in La Cerdanya Valley in Spanish Pyrenees. Welcome, happy to join us together. It's been a crazy day yesterday, tricky weather, sometimes running, sometimes survival mode, and this is the classification of yesterday's task. In third place, Lucas Vodhig with his Ventus 3 got 7 points. In second place is Didier House from France, he got 8 points. And the winner was Sebastian Kawa, who got 10 points. And in the overall, we can see that in first place there is Tito Holyhouse with 13 points, the same as Didier House. And in the third is Lucas Vodhig with 11 points. That's the general classification. So Brian, hello. How is the weather looks like today? Well, Jeremy, we were a little bit pessimistic this morning. We had a forecast which showed generally blue conditions, blue thermals, without any clouds in the valley, and small cumulus at the high part of the mountains, with a risk of some high cloud, some cirrus, and some high cloud coming over. And we actually, the high cloud has gone, so that's good. And it's left us in a completely clear situation, and we now have quite good conditions. The cumulus have appeared all along the top of the mountains, on the high mountains, with a south wind in the valley, so the ridges should work, the high mountains should work, and we have seen already that it's possible to climb above 3,000 meters. So we're looking forward now to a much faster race than we originally thought we might have.
Yes, in fact, there were two optional tasks, programmed, and we are having the A1, Brian, the longer one, which is 245 kilometers.
That's correct, yeah.
And seems to be a much better day than today. In fact, it's 8 minutes for opening the start line, and just 5 minutes before we could see some pilots just to the top, to the limit of the aerial space, which is 4,000 meters high, and now I think they are beginning to go down just to be close to the maximum altitude for Starline, which is 2,500 meters. Okay, that's important thing because it changes depending on the weather of each day. Today is 2,500 meters over sea level, which is about 1,400 over ground, and the minimum altitude for in arrival in finish line is 1,300 meters. Okay, so it seems to be, but today nobody is struggling to arrive to the altitude minimum for a start line. We must remember that yesterday and the first day we had some pilots struggling to keep on flying. Jean Tasuba yesterday and 2 days ago Eugenie, but both managed to go up, to climb. And today, well, the thing is the launches went okay, but this were just two gliders who had to land. They didn't catch the thermal to go up. And John Gatfield, Yankee Oscar, and Tilo Holyhouse with 3 Victor, they both have to land. They didn't launch the water, so they have the same advantage than the other pilots. They towed again. It was okay for them. And now we can see in the upper left part of your screen, that's how it looks like the Carlit Sierra, which is very close to the first point. You can see cumulus all around, and after them you can see big clouds. And talking with Sergi Pujol, he'll be here talking with us a few minutes later, that there's clearly a convergence to the north. The thing is that if there is a convergence, if you're not in the convergence zone, sometimes it's difficult to keep on flying because it sucks all the energy in the zone, so it's very difficult to keep on flying.
So let's look at what we think might happen on the first leg. So, Jaume, so we're looking at where you think they might run down to the first turning point and after the first turning point.
Okay, well, as yesterday we have the start line is just over the main airfield, and the Cerdanya airfield. And I think, well, they are clearly situated in the North Mountains. And for me, what we'll do is this. They will start in the northern part of the start line, which is the left of your screen, and make this. They go back to the mountains, to the higher ground. There was no rain this evening, so it would be drier than yesterday. And as yesterday, go to the Carlit. It will work. The clouds are higher than the peaks of the mountains. And it's been 3 days, training day on both days, that many pilots found a thermal here. So I think they know the hotspot and maybe them go here, okay? From there, it can be that some gliders make this way and others take the maximum height and make a deviation of almost 90 degrees to come back. That's what I expect, Brian.
So there's a chance that we see two strategies here. The high strategy, which I think is the most comfortable one, is to climb as high as possible on Carlit and then take the turning point really high. And the other one would be to ridgesaw, because I think it's possible in this wind to take the ridges all the way to the turning point and all the way back to the start point.
Yes, I think so. You could see just some seconds before the clouds over the peaks. So for sure the thermals are better than yesterday. Yesterday, except Gintas, Zube, Alfa Romeo and Didier House, Fox Delta, they both managed to go to the South Mountains where they got better condition, better thermals. And we must remember that yesterday they passed 700 meters over the pilots, which were between 0.5 and 1 meter per second, okay?
Well, it would be a risky strategy to run low, I think, but it would be fun for us to watch. We've seen this before in Sailplane Grand Prix. There's a lot of inertia. If some pilots go that way, others will think, yeah, okay, I'll go with you. And it's quite interesting to see what the difference is, because flying low, they can fly in good energy all the way to the turning point, but then at some stage they must stop to climb. And of course, with a west and southwest wind, it means that the guys who are climbing will be getting an advantage from the wind. But if you climb after the turn point, then you don't get that advantage and you drift back, so you lose some kilometers.
Yes, there's a difference between the last 2 days of race and today's. The first point was here. But today we are not going to that mountains. We are going here, so they don't have to cross the gap. And yesterday and the other day they had to climb this way to come and turn back to climb again. Yesterday we talked with Pete Temple and Piet. They struggled because this zone works very well, but if you are 300 meters low here, it's you should have problems because the slopes are not as steep as the main part, as the highest part. So the main thing is to do this and then come back, okay? I don't think they have to climb as much as yesterday, and they have good thermals. We will see what happens.
And if you're in the overall classification and you don't have so many points, then you can take a bit of a chance here. You can decide, okay, the safe way would be to go high and go in, but I want to get some top winners points today, so I'll have a go at running on the ridges and see if I can make it work a little better. Of course, they now have some experience. They've been flying for 30 minutes or so they know what the air feels like, they know where the thermals are, and they have a good idea of how they're going to tackle this, and they've thought it through already. So everybody's getting in position now for starting. We can see them all coming together. right sort of altitude between 2,500 and 3,000 meters, coming down to get just the right position for start.
Yes, I think so. We can see going to the start line. Mike Young and Lucas, I think they are going straight and not turning anymore. We'll see if they pass the start line before the time. I don't know, maybe pretty close.
And we know that there's some tactical element to this starting. Nobody wants to be more than about 30 seconds after the start line's open, but equally nobody wants to be the first to start, except somebody who really wants to fly and push it. I would have thought somebody like Max or Louis would be very happy to go through and pull away. And we've seen Didier regularly doing that. We've seen him being very happy to go out in front and give everybody some direction.
Here
we go.
Yes, now it's 5 seconds to open gate. And here the race starts. Okay, nobody has passed before. And first go both Russians. One thing, you remember that the limit altitude is 2,500 meters, but by the way, the altitude you are seeing is GPS, is not the one in the logger, so maybe a little gap. Okay. And we'll see what we do. We saw yesterday they were all spreading all around the mountains, looking for thermals, everybody about 300-400 meters, certain one from each other, because there was not a definitive best thermal. But everybody thermals of 0.51. And here they started.
It looked like a good clean start, except that it looks like the Luca in Alpha Tango turned just before the start. Well, it's difficult to see if the orientation here, but if he turned back through the start line, that's a big penalty. But maybe he was through and then he turned left, and he started to climb just there. So
okay.
They're pretty much going where we expected. Everybody setting off except for Peter and Lucas and Gintas, who were climbing right at the start point.
Yes, and we can see the main group that started to circling, and well, it's very nice view. There are thermals and nice clouds all around, and now they are keep on going. Just Adam Zelaski is taking a big deviation of 90 degrees to Meranges Valley. We can see now thermaling all of them except Mike Young and Ribo Derlik. They are going straight. Maybe we could see, Benjamin, which altitude do they have? Okay, they are not the highest ones, but they have enough altitude to arrive to the Carlit Mountains.
And they could have decided they're going to run, but everybody's coming quite quickly. And there's a lot of cat and mouse, a lot of take it easy, a lot of wait and see. Mike's obviously decided that his penalty from yesterday, because he made an error at the start line yesterday, and he got 2 points penalty. He lost 5 minutes, and that will have put him in a mood for trying to push on. He'll be after getting those points back, and I think Louis also thinks that he ought to be higher up the classification. So he'll be flying a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more pushy now.
Yes, I think he wants to do his own way, his own flying without anybody. And the other one who's going alone is Adam Zelaski, who didn't follow the main group, but he turned left. He's now entering the Meranges Valley with good altitude, I think. And from there, usually, there are good thermals to climb.
Oh, well, we have a story already. What's going to happen to 120, to Mike Young? Is he going to be able to pull it back? It all depends how much energy he finds. He will arrive on the next ridge at about 2,200, 2,100, and that's okay, providing that it's got good energy. It'll work. But will the others climb really, really high and go straight to the top of Carlit? Be interesting to see if that happens. Yeah, you can see now the beautiful cumulus where they're climbing on the north side of the valley.
Yes, that's the main group. We can see there are pilots as Lucas, Gilles Navas, Mike Young, Louis Bourrelic is also there. The only pilot who has also left the main group is Graham Parker, who has left to the east following Mike Young, and seems to be a nice thermal. but I don't know. Now is the main group. They are really close one to each other, and we'll see when they leave. They have almost 3,000 meters. Lucas is the highest one, and well, we'll see when they leave it.
Yeah, and we can now keep. Let's keep a bottom banner, please, Benjamin, on Mike, and we'll see if he manages to climb there. Then we'll know whether his strategy works. If these other group leave and they arrive above him in the thermal, if he's higher, then he will have worked and he'll have benefited from that. He looks like he's just running along there now. I would think he's in a good place to either climb or run the ridge. We'll find out in a minute what the tactic is. They seem to be climbing.
Yes, we could see still the main group still circling, even though we can see they are climbing quite good in the down part of your screen. It seems, Brian, that nice clouds, seems to be nice weather for gliding, converges to the north, but I think these cumulus have well-defined base, dark base. I think there will be nice thermals there.
Yeah, I do think it's a sort of day when people really can make a decision to do their own thing and to go a different way and to push on. With the clouds marking like this, you don't have to worry quite so much about what other people are doing, what other competitors are doing. You can just keep going for it and using the clouds.
Yes. Meanwhile, we saw Mike Young has turned back. I think he's was looking for something better, and it's a pleasure to see also direct views and real views of the gliders turning and flying all together. We want to say hello and thank you to the people of our club and Jorge Arias who are in the middle of the mountain working with their telescopes, so you have these nice views. And we come back to the race. Still about 15 gliders together, Brian.
Yeah, they're topping out now. They're coming up to 3,000 meters. And they'll top out and they'll all stream up. Because I think the cloud base is about 3,000 meters here. It's probably higher when they go over the north side of Pedro and come onto the very tops of the mountains on the way to Andorra.
Yes, Graham is keeping on flying, looking for Khalid Ridge. You can see it is clearly defined.
Yeah, and it's going to be quite exciting to see what happens with the altitude here. The tactics, look, it's the same. Christoph is always prepared to go. He's always prepared to have a go. Sebastian, in the first leg, nearly always stays with the group. He very rarely pushes ahead at this stage. He saves his amazing talents for later on when he can pull away. And I suspect that Louis and Max will want to stay pretty much with him. So we can see if we can get some altitudes for everybody. We should see what height they join in a moment and whether or not the attempt to break away has been a good one. Beautiful picture of the sky, beautiful picture of the cumulus there. They're doing a good job, the telescope guys. All you glider pilots back home watching this, wouldn't you like to be up there now flying in that weather? It'd be terrific.
Yes. To the people who are looking at these nice views, remember we are also in the office working. We would like to be out there flying with anything with wings, and but anything anywhere is. We think it's a very nice view, very nice conditions for flying here in Cerdanya, and I think pilots will have a very, very nice day for gliding. We must remember it's been a huge difference between yesterday and 2 days ago. 2 days ago we had speed about 120 kilometers, and today I don't remember, Brian, about 70 kilometers per hour.
Yeah, yesterday was a really tough day, and it was quite stable and quite difficult. And there was a number of times when they just had to wait, and they just had to take it easy and climb up very slowly to be sure to get to the next place where they could find some energy. But it looks now like it's not much. There's not been much difference. We can see Graham Parker's really pulling away. He's got a good altitude, and he's climbed very well along the ridge. Yeah. The guys who stopped to climb just after the start, they're going to come in the thermal with Mike at a similar sort of altitude, and they're all going to run to the first turn together. Alpha Tango up there at 3,200 meters. And we can probably zoom in a little bit on that, and as they stream down this leg, and we can see in what order they leave the thermal. 3,000 meters mostly. Highest one there is probably 3,200. Mike's come up to 2.9, so he's in touch. They're all in touch together.
Yes, I think of course they found a nice thermal to climb there, but from there they turned to the left to follow the ridge, and I think they will climb all the time. Anyway, Graham left with the main ridge. You can see he made a nice deviation, almost 90 degrees, to catch the maximum altitude, to go straight to the waypoint and turn back. I think he should have climbed maybe 200-300 meters more to be sure he arrives with the altitude of the highest mountains. We will see. I think they are doing the best option climbing there.
Good. Adam's tactic for going back hasn't cost him that much. It's cost him 300 meters.
Yes.
Which is quite a lot at this stage, but at least he's not out of touch. He's there with the main group. He's underneath them. He's climbing. So he's okay. He'll be fine. There's a long way to go yet. There's now splitting into two groups, which is always good. As they split into two groups, we get two different ideas of how they should be tackled.
Yes, and I think Adam Zelaski, who turned a different way just after crossing a star line, has joined the group. He is about 200 meters lower than the others, but I think he will climb again. And the second group, I think all of them, they are leaving. They are directing to the first group. And you can see the main group are climbing almost 3,500 meters, really high. So the sailings are very hard, Brian.
Yes, it's about 700 or 800 meters higher than we expected. And we are, because of this condition, we're expecting a very fast race. We should be looking at speeds of 130 kilometers an hour, or maybe even more. Sebastian's got himself on top, so he's going to have to leave first because they'll be cloud base soon. Adam's well below. You can see he's turning the other way, but he's well below everybody else, so that's okay. Everybody must turn in the same direction in the thermal if they're at a similar height, and that is reduces the risk quite considerably.
Yes, we could see now a few seconds before. We see the waypoint of Mont Louis, the first point, and to the left you could see the clouds with high ceiling where they were climbing. The thing is, this is the more difficult decision at the beginning, because after they touch Mont Louis point and come back, they should have enough altitude to reach the conversions, and from there they could really cruise very fast. Not like yesterday that Didier went to the northern part and he was only in survival mode 140, 160, even though Sebastian Kawa, who take that route later in the afternoon, but they didn't run so much. They just wanted to come back to the zone where it worked.
Yeah, it's fairly steady run now. They're going to stay together now. I'm surprised that Didier stayed back. I'm surprised that he with Eugenie and I think it's Gionavas, they're climbing on their own, and they're not climbing as well. They can see the group ahead. They can see how fast they're climbing. You would have expected them to push on to there, but they might have a slightly different view about how to use the conditions and the strategy for this first leg.
Yes, no, and we must remember that Graham Parker is at the lead. He's lower than the others, and he's not the first time he goes in a Grand Prix. Really, he was the winner of Australian qualifying Grand Prix in 2008, one of the first, and he has participated in 3 World Champions since 2001. So he's a very experienced pilot. Maybe not much in mountains, Brian, but he knows how to compete really well.
Yeah, he's flown in the Alps, he's flown here, and he's a strong character. He also flew in Viticura, and I think he flew Seastrong Grand Prix, so he's got good experience, but of course he only gets the chance to fly in the mountains on the occasions when he comes to fly competition here. He doesn't ever normally just go and have a recreational flying in the mountains, so he doesn't get the opportunity that the other guys have who live in mountainous regions. So it's going to be exciting now because he's going to be nearly 2,000 meters lower than the other guys when he comes back along the ridge. That's quite a lot. And if he pulls it up well, if this lower ridge works and he gets energy all the way back, then he might well find that same climb they were in without losing much height. But he's got to be able to keep going without losing much altitude.
Yes, Graham just touched the point, and it's interesting to see that Font Romeu is to the left of your screen. It's another turn point that they will also visit today, just a check control point before arriving to the finish line. And we must say, do you see a small cumulus over Font Romeu? And I thought Graham Parker was going there. Sometimes we have to make that because Montlouis, there's no usually thermals, but now seems to be one.
Well, I think he's toast. He's turning in not such a strong thermal. If he's not climbing at 2 to 3 meters, they're going to come straight over the top of him. He really needs to either run the ridge if it works, or he's got to get a better climb. Otherwise, his strategy is going to cost him quite dearly.
Yes.
I doubt if he'll stay here. He's got to get back up on top.
Yes, we can see now the both groups almost joined together. They are following the ridge. They are about all between 8 and 10 kilometers, not very far one from each other. And I think we arrive at the end of the Carlit, which is about 2,900 meters. They will turn left. You can see it's angle about 90 degrees. It's very important. Usually in a championship in flatlands, you don't see this. But here there is a huge difference between the conditions in the main valley and the conditions of the high ground. So that's why they are taking each meter of energy they can take. Now look, they are turning right side. That's where it finishes, the Carlit peaks, mountains.
It's a long way of track.
Thank you very much, Benjamin.
It's a long way of track. They've gone all the way up to the lake at La Liagon. But that's probably the very best thermal they're going to see in all the flight.
Yes, yes. But the thing is, maybe they don't stop at many thermals if they find the convergence.
Yeah, they will almost certainly turn and come back to this point here. And it's a long way off track, but at that sort of altitude, it's been well worth it. They're up at 3,500, 3,600, plenty of altitude to take the turn and arrive back at Carlit above the top of the mountain, which is the critical thing. And from above the top of the mountain, they'll be able to climb back up to cloud base. They have the opportunity then to keep moving along, looking for the really good lift.
Yes, we see Graham Parker is going straight in the second leg, but I think he's looking for that cumulus, which we talked about just a few seconds before. And meanwhile, the main group, led by Sebastian Kawa, but a little bit lower than the 3 or 4 at following him.
Mike's cut the corner, look.
He's
decided that's a bit too far off track for the benefit you might gain. And he's similar height to Sebastian, so they're going to arrive at the turn pretty much together.
Yes, the question is if after touching the point, I think they will come back to the mountains.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they'll retrace their steps.
Yes.
They'll come back. Graham's beginning to think that it's beginning to feel quite lonely down there.
Yes, the thing is, it's about maybe 3,600 meters, the height of the base of the cloud. The thing is, they will stop or they will keep on going just under the clouds.
Yeah, I would have thought that they would want to operate in the gap between the cloud base and the top of Carlit Mountain. How high is the top of Carlit?
It's about, I think, 2,900 meters.
Yeah, about 3,000, that's right. So in which case they've got a good operating band, 600-700 meters. There'll be good. The difference is that when you're above the top, you have the option just to keep moving along the ridge until you find a really strong thermal. If you are below the top, then you lose that option and you can only turn one way, and the number of good thermals you find is probably going to be quite a lot less. The energy line is much better above the top of the mountain.
Yes, we can see they are cruising very fast. That means they have very good thermals, more than maybe 2.5 meters per second average. And I think with that speed, they are pretty sure to touch and come back to the clouds over the Carlit.
And you can see they start to turn at this speed. You have to start to turn before you get there. If you wait till you get there, you go half a kilometer inside the sector whilst you're in the turn.
Yes.
But we have a radius of 2 kilometers, and it looks like today that's a good thing because it gives everybody a little bit more space.
And the thing is, you can see they are turning to the right, not to the left to come back to Carlit. It means, I think, they won't go to Carlit. They go straight to the clouds after Tour de Carol Valley.
To the west of Carlit, along the top of the ridge there. So they will be heading back to where they found the first good climb. You can see the line of the top of the mountain. This is going to be the energy line, and it curls away more to the northeast. The really good part is going to be on the southern point of that and going west. And you can see how now the beautiful view with it lines up all the way along.
Yes, that's to situate you. Here they stop both days together, but now maybe they are just passing over here, but they will follow this route to the northern part, where within the convergences and where our chief manager Sergi told it was. In the meanwhile, we could see just for a few seconds how the weather looks like. Okay, here we see perfect, nice weather for flying, well-defined cumulus, and another important thing, that clouds are not very high. There seems to be no overdevelopment. And many prevision models don't give us any rain. Only one. We think will be no rain today.
Yeah, it looks like we have fairly settled conditions, and they should be able to keep going with very good speeds. It's probably much less cumulus when they leave this area. This is the best area that they're going to fly in. It'll be a little bit disappointing when they leave here because I think they're flying into less cumulus. Maybe Sergi will join us, and he can tell us what the weather's looking like to the west in a moment.
Yes, we are back into the race. They are going pretty close to Carlit. Meanwhile, you can see Graham Parker is not climbing. He's, I think it's about 2,000 meters, close to fourth point, Font Solar. He climbed just only about 100 meters. I think he's in a pretty nice place to climb, slopes, rocky slope, oriented to the sun and to the breeze. But the main group is going in the upper part of your screen, at the top of your screen, just to jump. Do you see in the middle? That's Tour de Carol Valley, and for sure they are looking for the convergence. Now we can expect they are going to run a lot. Sebastian is running at about 180 kilometers per hour. We must remember that with the altitude, the real speed increases relative to the indicated speed because of the density of the air, and of course because of the intensity of the wind you have in altitude.
We got quite a good group here. There's Sebastian and Mike and Louis and Maximilian and Alpha X-Ray, which is Gilles. So between them, there's quite a good group running now, and you can see they're running very fast. And they're running very fast. They're not trying to conserve the energy at all. They're trying to use the energy they've got and convert it into much higher speeds. The problem they've got with this is they'll need to climb a little bit more often. But because the conditions are good, they'll climb very quickly, so they can fly at a much higher speed.
Yes.
It's all the time a balancing act.
Yes, that balance. We can see Sebastian Kawa is pushing a little bit more than Mike Young, and that's why he lost they were at the same altitude, just about 15 kilometers before, and now Mike Young is about 100 meters of difference. But we can see it will move because they will find places with such good, nice thermal to have a pull up. And Sebastian has stopped to climb. I think they will join together in a few seconds. There they go, Louis Buderlik and Mike Young, little bit higher than Sebastian, Brian.
Yeah, and they're really motoring now. And Maximilian will be having an absolute ball. He'll be loving this. I don't think he enjoyed the flying yesterday very much because it was slow. And he likes good conditions, he likes good weather, but also he would want to get really high up. He would want to win a day in this competition. He was World Sailplane Grand Prix champion in Varese, and he flew fantastically in that competition, and we may well see Max back on form and giving Sebastian and Mike and Louis a really good run for their money and making them push harder.
Yes, now Mike is pushing on. He hasn't stopped. That thermal seem to be very good. And my young has another time. It's 200 meters altitude difference with Sebastian Kawa and Louis League. And now we want to say hello. We welcome Sergi Pujol, that after working all morning in organization and grid, he's back here in the office. Hello, Sergi. What do you think of today?
Hello, everybody. Well, we can see in the telescope picture that we have a strong confluence in the north. That we keep we have a lot and strong thermals in this part of the confluence, and they have to be in the confluence. For the first point was really good because they leave the confluence and go to touch the point and come back with enough altitude. But we will see what happens when we go to the second, third point, because the confluence, the south confluence will go when we have south wind, it's going north, more north at the second point that it's Big Sur, you know?
Yes.
The confluence goes just a little in the middle or north of Aguas Tortas, and will be what happens and how the pilots manage to leave the confluence and go again to the confluence, but we will see.
Yes, there are 3 clearly marked routes. Last day we thought there were only 2, this and this one, but we saw like Didier House and Sebastian took the northern one because in this zone there was blue sky, the other part of the Pyrenees were completely shadowed, and it was a good bet. The only thing Didier got stuck then in La Carbassa, we could see him arrive low, and Sebastian, because he went straight, this is what he did, but Sebastian came back to the zone when it worked, and that's why he won. When they were together in Campredas, there was a difference of 300 meters, and Didier couldn't do anything more.
I think the best is to go in the middle to the north. The pilots will be really easy with the line of clouds of the confluence show the way, and I think today all the pilots maybe it's going together because the south looks not cloudy with not clouds, and from here and like we can see the telescope picture, we can see a line in the north of the La Cerdanya Valley.
So for sure there's a convergence, Sergi, today.
I think that yes, because they have a really strong thermals or climbings, and it's a line, the normal when in the morning we can see small clouds after the first, that Coma Pedrosa of the Carlit behind these mountains, that means that we have confluence in the north.
Yes, and just some seconds back into the race we could see a group of about 10 gliders all looking for the core of the thermal. You know, sometimes there's 1, 2, 3 meters per second, but there's a point where it's stronger, the core of it. It seems to be that somebody was looking for it, and most of them decided to keep on going. Gilles Navas and Pete Chambel at the lead, and stay there Sebastian Kawa, Maximilian Saiz, and Louis Butterlick. Okay, Graham is struggling to keep alive, to keep on flying. He's in Tour de Carol Valley.
Yeah.
We can see the query to the left of your screen. That's the main Tour de Carol Valley, and well, we will see. The thing is, he has already touched the buoy point. He has not to go farther to the east, and well, we can see now at the lower part of your screen, 5 pilots are coming back. Maybe they found some thermals, and John Gattil, Piet, and Didier, they are staying there. So only 3 pilots decide to go on, which are Gilles Navas, Pete Semper, and Vladimir.
Well, I think it's a good decision to take altitude here, because if you are in the confluence, it will be easy to go fast. But in the moment that you go down or you lose the confluence, later the thermals start to be low, and we climb maybe 1 meter per second. And now Sebastian Kawa, for example, is climbing really well at 4 meters, 5 meters. That means that it's a good moment to take time climbing in good thermals and take decision to say, I will go for this line or for this line. Because if you lose the altitude and you lose the thermals, later you have to go to the south, and sometimes it's quite difficult to go in again to the thermal, to the convergence line.
Yes, we can see Mike Young left the thermal group. He has gone to the northern part of the Pyrenees. He's making a deviation to the north. Maybe there is the convergence trying to arrive there. He's 3,200 meters. And meanwhile, we can see Sebastian and its group, it's 3,700 meters there. And Mike decided to go there to catch the convergence. But many pilots, I think, they decided to climb a little more to be sure they arrive. Otherwise, we must remember, if you don't arrive to the convergence, of course, to the right or left of the convergence, there is the divergence where the air sinks. So you should be sure that you arrive there.
I see Mike's gone off on his own more to the north. Well, it's a risky strategy on a day when it's really, really good. Pushing ahead on your own, particularly when you're pushing off the track line, is a very big risk because you cannot be sure it's going to be all that good and you lose touch. But Mike will be wanting to do something today. He had the penalty yesterday and he'll be wanting to get that back. And he's always an independent thinker. But the rest of the group are doing really well. They'll stick together for quite a while. And we can see how high Sebastian's got here, 4,000 meters. That's a really, really good altitude. I was just looking at the sky, Joma to the west, and we can see it's not as good. It's okay, they'll be fine. But I don't think they'll be able to push as hard. Where they are now, and on Carlit, is probably the best area in the whole task.
Yes, I think so. And meanwhile, we will see, by the way, there is no rain. And the thing is, yes, you can see in the corner of your screen how the clouds move, and there is some line of convergence, not clearly marked, but there are some clouds one after the other. And the good thing is we don't have many high clouds, Brian. There was some expectation of having this, but it seems to be nice time.
Yeah, it's cleared up nicely. The air's dried out at altitude, the cirrus has disappeared, so we have the full sun's energy. It's June. It doesn't get much better than that. South wind on the mountains.
Yes.
Everything's in our favor at the moment.
Yes, and we could see now in the images that Gerard gave us, you could see how the clouds went to the north. It means there is south wind and breeze wind, and it's nice news for today. We must say that although there are high clouds, so we have rain. We're in June, so we have a lot of sun hitting the ground. And in just about 1 hour or 1 hour and a half, we could see again thermal cycling in places where it was wet. So it's very easy to start the thermals again.
The interesting situation now is Gilles gone to the north as well. Now we won't know whether this has been a good strategy until they come up to somewhere around Solaria. Yes. And when they reach the edge of the Sort Valley in another 20 kilometers, then we will begin to see which is the best strategy. I can't see how it can be much better than the line that most people and Sebastian and Max have taken, but Mike's obviously got some idea that maybe if he goes a little bit further to the north, he can pick up a better line. We can't really see that area from here. We can't see whether they've got good cumulus or not.
Yes, we were taking a look at two meteorological stations with real data in Saloria Mountain, another in Cadi, in Das, and in both there is south wind, normal breeze wind, about 20 kilometers per hour. So it's not expected there is north wind like yesterday. Could be wave and change the conditions from one part to another. I think we have a normal Pyrenees day. We've not had clouds by the moment. For tomorrow, there is expected the front is arriving, will change the conditions, but we'll have to wait.
And maybe, Benji, if we look at the altitudes of everybody for a moment, and then we'll see what's happening to the large group that's a little bit behind now. Mike has not done so well there. He's not really got a great climb. He is climbing, so maybe he's just not quite got into it yet. And he's with Gilles. And Gilles and Mike are climbing together out on the north side.
Yes, and the pilots who stopped climbing to inothermal, they are clearly higher, 3,800 meters. Sebastian Kawa, who is driving to the group of Mike Delta and Pete Temple. And in the lead, Sebastian Kawa, just in front of him, is Fox Mike. Maximilian size, very high also. I think they're pretty close together in altitude and distance. And we'll see if Sebastian keeps on circling with this little group to his left, or keeps on flying with Maximilian.
Yeah, well, maybe Sebastian likes flying with Maximilian. They flew a lot together in Varese, so maybe he's thinking, okay, you know, we're high, we're fat, we're comfortable here, let's just go together. Certainly the right-hand route, because I think they're coming over Puimeron now. So as they come up over Puimeron, the massif to the west of that is very high, and if there is a convergence, that's where you'd expect it. And it could be that Gilles and Mike have decided to pick that up on the edge.
Yes, and now we can see in your screen. You can see some gliders turning. It's Aldo Rodriguez group, not in the front but in the rear of the task. It's a clearly defined cumulus, even with some, I don't know the word, Brian, concave base.
Yeah, concave's good.
Yes, that it means that's the strongest thermal. You can see some white points. They are the thermals turning and climbing. Very nice day to fly 3,800 meters. A dream place and a dream day to fly today.
So, looking into the west now, we aren't sure, but we can speculate from what we can see that the conditions are not so good. So they've been flying 200 kilometers an hour, 220 kilometers an hour. What'll be interesting is to see if they slow down a little bit. If they come back to 190, 180 kilometers an hour, because at this height, they can make the next turning point. It's a long way, but they could make it.
Yes.
And it may be they decide that it's not so good ahead and to use the altitude to get the distance. But if it still looks like a convergence is working, then they can carry on pushing it at the higher speeds.
Yes, and now we could see Maximilian and Sebastian going pretty close, but I think Sebastian stopped to climb a little bit. It was just a few seconds, was climbing in 4 or 5 meters per second. Now he's keep on cruising, and now there is a nice difference, about 300 meters. And well, Mike is returning to the main group, but I think he's a little bit lower. He didn't climb where he expected. It wasn't such a nice thermal as Sebastian, and maybe there's a difference of about, yes, you can see 600 meters. That's what happens when you take a decision.
That's what happens when you go off on your own. Especially, it's fine if you get it dead right, but if you don't get it right, that's what happens.
Yes,
but it's a long way to go yet. You could pull that back.
Yes, he made it. He made the bet. He didn't work out pretty nice, but the good thing is he had the plan B, who was joining again with Maximilian and Sebastian.
Yeah. And we can see Gilles has turned south again as well now. The cloud out there looks much flatter. And it could be that it looks like convective cloud, but actually it's gone flat. It's part of the convergence that's spread out. And it's more difficult to see exactly where you should be flying underneath it. But this group are going to pretty much stick together now. Peter Temple's coming in from the side. He's seen them, and he's going to try and come along and join these guys. And they're in a good situation just on the west side of, I think they're probably directly over the east side of the Puimeron Valley.
Yes. And Gilles Navas, meanwhile, he went on his own. We must say Gilles Navas is usually a long distance pilot, not a pure competition pilot, Brian.
Which one's that? This is Gilles.
Gilles Navas.
Gilles, yeah. Gilles likes to he definitely likes to fly his own way. He flies in a different style to everybody else. He's very comfortable in the mountains. He's lived in the mountains all his life, and he'll be very happy to be on his own. He's not at all fazed about his result here. He just wants to have fun, and he really would like to do well, but it's not his main criteria.
Yes, the training day we were laughing with him because we were used last week to see him with his ESH 29 to fly Copa Pyrenees, and we were so surprised to see him with a GS1. He said, "Hey, GS, what are you doing?" "No, I just wanted to train with mine now, and I have, I think, better much glider for competition, and that's why I'm using it." Okay. Yes. I would like to have a 29 for training also.
Yeah, that would be nice. Wonder what Peter's doing. He's quite a bit lower, I think. If we can check altitudes again, there's the people who drop behind are going to be quite a lot lower. Didier's not out front running today, or not yet anyway. He's been fairly quiet. Luca's fairly quiet at the moment, although they're high now. Luca's up at a good altitude. And Thomas is there with him at a high altitude. They're probably going to catch Mike. They're probably going to overtake Mike at this point.
Yes, we can see most of the people took the route of the northern route. And well, we are happy to see Graham Parker he's come again. He's 3,000 meters. I don't think he has lost many time. The only thing is he lost a couple of minutes maybe, but he didn't spend 15 minutes struggling.
That's right. And we've got this whole group slowly coming back together. And what happens in this situation, Max and Sebastian are out front, they're higher and they're pushing on. This group will climb to the same place, same sort of altitude. And Max and Sebastian should be able to maintain this gap unless they stop in a weaker thermal.
Yes, you can see a little screen. That's a telescope pointing where the Sebastian Kawa is. And we must remember Sebastian is the whole group of about 10 pilots. So you can make an idea how the sky looks like. And the thing is, there are clearly nice thermals, but Brian, we could see also some clouds spreading out. They are not dissipating, so maybe they could make a shadow over the terrain. What do you think?
And it's spreading out. It's spreading out and going flatter, and that could have quite an effect on the situation there and making it more difficult. What's happened to Thilo? We haven't seen Thilo for a while.
Thilo is out of the broadcast because he was having a problem with his flag.
Okay, so we
have to take it out.
Oh, so Thilo's not showing up, but he's showing up on the 2D, I think.
Yeah,
so
it is on the 2D.
so maybe Angel can work some magic and get him back in, but I don't know if you can. But we can see that actually Thilo and Bravo Sierra, which is Peter Temple, are going on a much more direct route. And if we look at where Bravo Sierra is, Peter Temple, we know that Thilo's not far away. And I don't know what altitude they are, Benj, but yeah, they're doing okay.
3,000 now.
Yeah, they're doing okay. And Thilo's there with him at 3,000, taking a much more direct route.
Yes, I think he is pretty close with, just in front of Peter Temple, we can see him. And 3 Victor, Thilo House is about 1 kilometer in front of him. We can see clearly following in the ridge. Okay, so you can imagine over those little lakes in front of Pit Temple is Thilo. He is about 3,000 meters high, so almost the same altitude as Pit Temple. And that's the group that tries the southern route. We could say not the southern, but the medium route.
Yeah, and what we're seeing now is the group that thought, oh, we'll take the big mountains and get really high, have decided to come back down to the south now. And I think what's interesting is with the south wind, the warm air from the plain of Spain will be feeding into the convergence from the south side. And whilst the clouds may look better right on the top, it could be the energy is much better to the left, to the south side. And we have a south wind, we have the sun in the south. I can imagine that on the top it's much better where the cumulus are good, but the run may well give you a better energy line if you're a little bit more to the south, where you have a very, very good mountain line all the way through to Montseny.
Yes, and we can see now that Maximilian Zeiss is going with Sebastian Kawa. As you said, they are used to fly together. And we must remember that Sebastian Kawa is a very big champion, but also Maximilian is the 17 in the IGC World Ranking and the 13 Grand Prix. He won the Grand Prix final in 2015, and he's been gliding since 15. And one important thing, I think Sebastian knows Maximilian is there, because you must remember that you always know where Maximilian is because he always used flip-flop shoes, so you can listen to him.
Yeah, he's a very cool dude. And he's much younger than most of the competitors. When he won in Varese, he was the youngest world champion at that time. And okay, he's a few years older now, he's an airline pilot, but he's keen. He's the only French person I know who speaks with an American accent.
Yeah.
He even speaks French with an American accent.
Okay. And how old is he? Because I read he started gliding at 15 years old. How old is he? 13 maybe?
Right. Yeah, he's probably about 25, I think now, because he was only 21 or something when he won in Varese. So, but he's by a long way the youngest pilot here. The thing about gliding at this level is the young guys tend to start around about 40. So we've got Peter Temple doing okay, and Graham Parker's come back into the race. He's getting on with it now, and he's probably not lost out so much. But Mike certainly lost out quite a bit. John's there and Christoph, it's still all together. And if they're flying into deteriorating conditions, it's the front guys who have to slow down first. And there's like a motorway traffic jam effect.
Yeah.
Everybody comes piling up behind and they come back together again.
Yes, we can see there's only a difference about 2 kilometers between the group of Maximilian and Sebastian and the southern, which is Pete Temple, and we must remember he's pretty close with 3 Victor Tilo House. And yes, thank you very much. And just a few minutes before, we thought there was a huge difference of altitude, but now they are pretty close. Mm-hmm. It could be interesting if they join at same altitude or with some advantage of one of the groups.
So maybe we should look down on the next part of the track up to the turning point, and we can look at the options they've got for the route that they could take from here. As they're coming up to La Rabassa and the Andorra Valley, we now can see where they could take a couple of options.
Yes, now we are going to see an image, a telescope image. That's how it looks to La Rabassa, to Andorra Valley, and you can see there are almost no clouds. Yes, that's the direction of Lorry, and after it is the Pic Cervi waypoint today, and it seems to be almost no clouds, so I think they're going to take the northern route, where it seems to be some clouds, but the south is dry.
Yeah, when you say the northern route, you mean Saloria.
Yeah.
What we can see ahead of us, if you take the pen, maybe you can mark that route for us that I would imagine would be the best route for them to take.
Yes, I think from here they could jump this way, all around, and from here they jump to the south, okay?
Yeah.
But they can take this ridge or go to the north, but I think it's higher deviation.
The ridge that goes to the south here will be a good line, and it takes them across the Sword Valley with a good altitude.
Yes, that's a rise to the Ori mountain, where there is also a ski station. And talking with our telescope friends, said that the only cloud there was to the western was just over Pic de Lorry. Right. It's a nice service thermal, but it's a cloud alone. Okay, you must rely just on one cloud. I don't think it's the best decision.
I would have thought they wouldn't go as far south as the Lorry. They would turn on that. I don't know the name of it. The one just before, because it's a very good line across the Sword Valley then, where they could join the Monsene mountain along this route that just is between Saloria and Monsene. And yes, it certainly looks like that's the direction they're going to take.
Yes, now we are going to see in a few seconds clearly image of the Lorry. Lorry's just in the direction they are going to Pic Cervi Point, and you can see only a few, not wisps, already clouds, but like wisps, not well-defined base, something strange, we don't know.
Yeah, it's just a bit stable out there. The mountains aren't so big, there's no convergence, and there's not as much energy. There'll be thermals, it'll be okay, but it won't be as fast as the first part of the flight.
Yes, maybe it could be interesting, Benjamin, to see the altitude of everyone, to have a relative vision of how they are going. Okay, that's the distance, about 50 kilometers to Pic Cervi Point. And from there, we must remember they must go southwest direction, and that's the altitude. They have really nice altitude. They are not jumping Andorra Valley with 2,500. We saw yesterday struggling and taking each thermal they found to survive and come back to the better zone.
Yeah, they can run right down Saloria, down the little line that takes them into the Sword Valley and straight across to Monsene. Of course, it's going to be different altogether once they've turned the Pic Cervi, because they've got to go into the flatlands. They've got to go to where it's much lower.
Yes, and in the meanwhile we can see the following group is Sebastian with Maximilian, pretty close, followed by Louis Bouderlic, okay, I think they will join. It will be a group of 3. I think Louis also has had a very nice altitude. But we must keep an eye on Pit Temple and remember with Tilo Holy House to the south. They are cruising. They will arrive in a few seconds to Andorra Valley. And we'll see which ridge they take and if they join. I don't think so, because they would have to take such great deviation to the north.
Yeah, Peter Temple is still a good height, and he's on a good route. He's a much more direct route. If he finds a good line across the smaller ridge, the lower ridge, this will meet where the others will come in. And if he can maintain the sort of altitude he has now, there's a good chance they will meet up in the end.
Yes, now, looking at the group of the north, I was asking myself, where is Mike Young? Mike Young, you remember, he wants to fly his own way. He's very aggressive. And he made the bet. He went to the north, didn't work out, came back to the group, but now we didn't see his
He's
data.
Back now. He's well back, and he'll have a real. It'll be difficult to catch up, because actually they're coming to the point now where altitude is really important.
Now,
sorry,
Pit Temple is just crossing Andorra Valley. The city you are seeing in the down of your screen is the capital, which is Andorra. It's a city spread along the valley, and he's arriving to Antena Andorra, a place where there's usual thermals. In the morning, in the part you are going, and in the afternoon, it's in the left part of your screen. We will see there is a nice thermal there, and from there, the thing is, I don't think he's going to the north, where Saloria and highest mountains are. I think he will keep on going straight, okay? And now we will see.
Yeah, we're not sure what's happened, but we think that Mike Young might have a problem and he might be coming back. He doesn't seem to be following the same line everybody else. He seems to be heading south. But we'll just keep our eye on that and see where he ends up. Certainly this group have come back together again, and Didier's crept back into it. We could just check all of the altitudes bench and see how they're doing here, because it's getting critical now, the altitude. And we shall see that Fox Delta is there, but he's quite a lot lower. He's 1,000 meters lower than Adam. But no, well, Sebastian's fixed. Yes, he's a lot lower. And that's probably going to cost quite a lot. It's a good 10 to 15 kilometers into the turn. He really needs to climb up. Although you can run this. You can run this at this altitude. If you want to, you could run the whole length, but it may turn out that you should have climbed, because you've got to cross the valley.
Yes.
At some stage you have to cross the valley to the other side of the Sword Valley.
And it will be interesting to see when they go west from Saloria zone and Maniga zone, the higher mountains in the zone. What do we do? Because what do they do? Because Pic Cervi going, it has some ridges called Cometa, but it's a place that from the air it seems to be nice, well oriented, nice slope, rocky. And Sergio says, you always go there, it doesn't work. So it's a place, a waypoint that attracts you to go, but most of the times there's nothing there or something really broken. Okay?
Yeah, we're getting a bit of a split going on here. Sebastian has decided to take the route to the south for his own reasons, whereas everybody else is following. This is Saloria we have now.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful, 3 big beautiful bowls which face to the south. And maybe there's clouds further out, but I would think the line that Max is taking, and Louis and Didier, the three French together, they're just going to cruise along this line, and they will probably then go a little bit to the left. So they'll come back to where Sebastian is.
Yes, we could name it the French way, Brian, I think.
Yeah, the French way.
All the French pilots flying together.
Gilles there with them.
Yes, we could see now 2 hours ago in the bar, all the French team with Eric Napoleon, who also is here talking about the task and planning where to go. And well, we could see Pit Temple didn't stop in Andorra Antena to climb. He's following south. In front of him, about 200 meters higher, is 3 Victor, which is Tilo Holy House. And we also could see in the rear part of the task, they were flying together Alfa Romeo Ginta Zube with Lima Echo Aldo Rodriguez, the local pilot. they left the thermals already, and now they have separated. Gintazu is more to the north, but both they are going to jump the Andorra Valley.
Yeah, and Peter Krajcek's with them. Peter's been very quiet in this competition. Pete's from Czech Republic. I don't know what you know about Peter Krajcek, but he's been having not a great competition so far. He's been left behind a couple of times and not been able to catch up. He doesn't know the area very well. It's his first time flying here in a competition. But he is an experienced mountain pilot. He's a Czech pilot. That always means a lot of determination, very skillful, very talented pilots from Czechoslovakia, from Czech Republic, pardon me. And he will be happy to be in this group. And we can see that Didier is quite a lot lower than the others.
Yes. And meanwhile, we must say that Piotr Krejcik by the moment is 9th in the Grand Prix ranking. Okay, he's been flying in many Grand Prix in Usman, Partizanke, Friedland, 3rd in Saint-Ouen, and he has been in a couple of Grand Prix finals. He's been in 2016, it was 6th in Potchefstroom. He was 13th in Vitacura, a very nice place, but also very exigent with the pilots. And in 2017, he was 5th in Omarama.
Yeah, Max's data transmitter seems to have gone a bit loopy for the minute. Either that or he's decided to have a recreational aerobatic session, which I very much doubt. We're picking up data from 2 sets of instruments in each of the sailplanes, and these instruments are passing data via a series of antennas, and every now and again something happens and they get interfered with. It corrupts our data, and so our system for showing you this starts to show all sorts of erratic movement. But we can see it's settling down now, and he's coming back into a normal movement again.
Yes, so don't worry about that, okay? And you can see also a live image of La Rabasa Mountains and to the west. You can see the sky is spreading out to the north, only a few clouds. I think it's sucking the whole energy. That's why in zone of Koikantua Pixarri there are no clouds. It could be more interesting than for our friends of Telescope. There was a nice image of the 2 waypoints to the left. We will see it later. Thank you, Gerard.
And Didier is off. Didier is not very high. He decided that his only way of pulling it back is to rush off ahead. And in fact, Peter Temple and we know we know that Thilo is with Peter,
yes.
And they're going on really well. They are moving along quite well. They're keeping a reasonable altitude. They can cross the Sort Valley there from that altitude. There's a good run across. It would be nice for him if he could climb 500 meters here. It's a good place to climb. And you can see now the mountain in the middle of the valley where you cross the Sort Valley. There's a south wind. It's coming straight up the valley, and it's really going to work on this face here and take them round onto Montseny. The rest of the group to the north are pretty sure going to have to come this way. They can't go to the north of Montseny because there's a national park, and they can't fly in the national park. So they're going to have to go south. So if Peter keeps on trucking and he gets onto that next ridge, in this wind direction he can ridge saw pretty much. He can use the ridge lift all the way across around Montseny and onto Pixarri.
Yes, I think so. And we can see the main group of Sebastian, Didier, Maximilian, and 3 pilots more. They stop. I think they have to stop maybe in one of the last clouds that they can see before jumping the valleys in front of them. And well, I think they are climbing the match, 3,800 meters. And now they are leaving. They are going straight to Pixarri. Sebastian Kawa in front, pretty close, followed by Maximilian Size. Now accelerating. And we'll see which way they take. If there is any cloud to follow or not, or something like that. In the meanwhile, we must say we're taking a look at the radar. There was no rain, no play, so everything perfect. The only thing I was worried about is the spreading out we were seeing in the clouds. They are not dissipating, so it could be a thing that will have worsened thermals.
They're turning south now. They're going to follow the ridge line that runs down the eastern side of the Sword Valley. We have a Steri off to the right, a little massif in the center of the valley. The valley splits just to the south of where they are, and this ridge is a very good ridge, and Peter Temple's on the end of it, but he's not so high, but well, we'll see. He's high enough if he wants to keep going, and I don't know if he knows the area well enough to know what the possibilities are now.
I don't know. Last week, we talked about that yesterday, that he really wanted to explore that zone, and sometimes he went western than the waypoints of the tasks that were every day. So I think he enjoyed time there, looking, testing everything, proving places. I think so.
Yeah, and Max and Sebastian are still playing cat and mouse here. Max is happy to stick with Sebastian. I think he's very wise. If the two of them can stick together, then Max can really put some pressure on Sebastian towards the end of the flight.
Yes, Sebastian, I think, is hearing flip-flop in the rear of his glider.
Yeah, that's right.
And meanwhile, apart from Maximilian, the French pilots with John Gatfield and Lucas and Thomas Gorner, they are a little bit at the rear of them, but they are following the main ridge, Brian.
Yeah, we must remember that John Gatfield is not French, he's just got a French flag on his name. Yeah?
Yes.
Maybe Benjamin's run out of British flags to put on there.
That's why I said French group with John Gatfield, sorry. And
Gilles still there with him, and Thomas is coming along behind. Thomas is always there somewhere. If he finds a little bit of a good run, he can be back up with the leaders.
Yes, we see they are arriving at the maximum permitted altitude of the competition. It was 4,000 meters. So it's nice thermals, nice conditions. Meanwhile, we can see in the southern park, Graham Parker is making its own route through the south. He just passed La Seu d'Urgell, which is the city that goes then just before the Valley of Andorra, with its main airport. We must remember, although they are in very high mountains in tricky zone, but they are in very nice glide of landable places, so no worry about that. And here it appears the local pilot, Lima Echo, which is Aldo Rodriguez. He was a little bit back, but he's lower than the others. He was with Gintas just a few minutes before.
Yeah, and Peter now has decided to cross, but he's at an altitude where if he knows the area well enough, he can push through with that. But if he doesn't know the area well enough, he could find himself having to stop and climb and finding it difficult.
Yes, and now we can see that's how it looks. The zone in next third points, the next two waypoints, it's Col Canton. In front is Torreta del Orri, the thermal service. The little wisps we're talking about, clouds, are getting a little bit bigger, but not the best, not as nice as the ones we have here in the main valley. So it seems to be not as good as this place.
Yeah, and Peter's not running so well, but we know that Thilo's there, and we know that Thilo's a lot higher. I would say at the moment Thilo's probably out in front. There's a good chance that Thilo is going to be in the first round, the turning point. We'll keep you informed about that because we have information about Thilo, and we can see that he's not far away from where Peter Temple is now, but quite a lot higher.
Yes, with another signal, we are seeing that he has turned a little bit north, and now he is in front of GS3 Sebastian Kawa and Foxmine Maximilian Size. He is about 3,600 meters. So I think it's the same altitude that both of them. Just a few, maybe 1 kilometer in front of them, and ready to jump the valley in front of him, the Sword Valley. And he is there. I think he's leading the main group. But the reference he has in front of him with Temple is not really a reference because he's very low, so he must stop to climb.
We haven't seen much of Gintas today, Alfa Romeo. He's not keeping up quite as well today, and Charlie Christophe, he's not in that main group. We've seen Gintas flying very well, but he's just dropped back a little bit. He'll have a tough time catching up now and keeping his points.
Yes, and the one who maybe has stuck, who was in the front but is not yet, is Mike Young. Mike stopped now, is climbed, but he is far away from the leader of the group. And we can see Gintas was with Lima Eco, was with Aldo Rodriguez. We talked with him about yesterday because he was leading with Didier, but they went to a cloud that seemed to convergence, and Didier catch it, but Gintas didn't, so he had to turn south to join the main group in Carlit, and Didier caught it and could lead on.
Yeah, and we see that Adam has climbed very high, and it looks like he's busted the airspace. We will have to see. He was quite high a moment ago. He's come down a little bit now, but he's been really close. He's been really close to busting the airspace there. So we'll just see how he's done. He's still climbing, and the maximum altitude you can fly is 4,000 meters.
4,000
If
meters.
you go above that, boom,
Yes.
you're out of it.
Yes.
Because you just get So now he's climbing through that altitude. So come on, Adam, get the wings level, get out of there. It's time to go. It looks like he's probably having such a good time. He's so focused on the lift and his climb that he's not looking at his altitude. He's only got 50 meters to go. Is he going to go straight? Adam, Adam, come on, go straight.
Yes, I think he's going to accelerate
and leave there.
Yes, I don't know. He's still circling. We must remember there's a little gap between GPS altitude.
He's hit it. He's hit the number, and he's still climbing. So unless there's a big difference between the data we're receiving and the data he's receiving on his IGC file, then he's really on the edge. It's just he's leveled off now, so it may be he's just okay. It may be he's just okay because he's got a buffer.
Be aware that the altitudes that we are showing are GPS altitudes.
Yeah,
so it may be okay.
Yeah, it could be that his pressure altimeter is slightly different, and anyway he's in the buffer, so he could be okay. But we'll only find that out tonight.
And the pilot who is leading the group of the pilots that are really high, with Sebastian, Louis, and Maximilian, is Free Victor Tilohaus. Must remember, he likes very much flying in Grand Prix. He has met many of them, and not so much in other competitions. He just made the German national. And he liked this so much, and I remember he has one of the best factories of gliders in the world. He flies his own gliders, and he likes very much it. Very sympathetic man in the grid. And this is the group. I think it's a group of 4. These 3 with Free Victor, and separated from the second group of Gilles Navas, Didier Haus, and Pietre.
And they're going to run onto that middle ridge. I don't know what it's called, that small mountain in the middle of the Sword Valley. But it's always pulling quite well, especially good if you have a south wind. And it's probably one of the better cumulus. And then we know that Montseny should be good with the south wind.
Yes.
So they should be able to climb well there.
Yes, I think the mountain is called Las Picas.
And maybe we can mark that, and we can mark Montseny, so everybody can see exactly where we're heading for now.
I think
Didier really didn't get a good climb back there.
Wait, this is the Orri mountain, and this is the Cometa. Okay, this is where Luing, and this is the southern one.
Yeah, and then we come on to Montseny. Sorry, no, that's good. Yeah, so
yes.
There's Montseny here. So they want to come around onto here and around this way.
Something like this, maybe, or maybe direct. It depends on the.
Or maybe up the col and across this way.
Yes.
And maybe this is a good way to go.
Yes. The thing is, they are very high.
Yeah.
So maybe.
Yeah, we have to remember which way the north arrow is pointing when we're looking at the map. So they're all heading for the what you call the Dark Valley, and across the col that goes into Montseny. But they're so high. They don't have to really worry about this. They're going to be very high across there.
Yes, when you are maybe a few hundred meters over the ground, it makes sense to follow the ridge. There are always bubbles and thermals jumping from there, but now they are higher than the mountains. And we must say, if the leading group, we didn't talk about Louis Baudrelic, who has won 2 European championships, one in Vinona and one in Nitra. He is the 10th in world's ranking and 2nd in Grand Prix. And but he was selected 2 times to a finals, but he couldn't make it. So it's the first time he's a finals. He could come.
And Peter's climbing now in Bravo Sierra. He's just not really stopped to climb. He's still running. He's having a great flight because it's really good fun to do this, to run along as Peter is doing, 1,000 meters below everybody else, but running out ahead. He didn't stop to climb. Whether that was because he couldn't find a climb or whether it was his tactic, we'll find out when he comes back. And we can see that the entire group now are 1,000 meters lower than they were when they left the last thermal. So they're flying into quite different air mass and quite different conditions.
Yes, maybe there is some dead air because all the energy is being sucked up by the compressors and the clouds they left just a few minutes before. As you can see, they are not running so much, between 130, 160 kilometers per hour. Maybe we could put, Benjamin, the speed, if it's possible, of how it has changed. We must remember going to the first point, they were cruising at about 200 kilometers, and now we can see they are much slower. Okay, we must remember that for these gliders going at 150 kilometers is like going in a Libelle, Cirrus, or GS3 or Pegasus at 110, 120.
Yeah, they've certainly slowed down, and we can see from we're getting a picture of the weather now at Colcanta, and maybe if you can see that, you can see there's a lot less cumulus where they have to go. It's a lot more stable. There's going to be quite a lot of slowing down. Could be quite a change yet. There could be people getting stuck, people missing it, and we'll have to. It's not over yet. There's still plenty to go, and they're still close enough for it to be a good race.
Yes, that's
very tight.
Yes. The altitude they will fly in this zone is clearly lower than before. Apart from the Pit Temple, who has been all time between 2,200 to 2,600, but they come from 4,000 meters, and now they are, as you said, about 800 meters, 1 meter lower. But anyway, they have to stop somewhere to climb to make Pic Cervia and Coicanto. From here, we don't see the relative position of the cloud. You could see some seconds ago in the live image.
Peter's climbing well. He's coming up well, probably not quite well enough, but he's coming up well. He stopped to climb at the point where he could have jumped over onto the next ridge, but if he went onto the next ridge low down, then he really would be committed to having to ridge store back. But he's climbing pretty well there. He's got 2 meters a second. Sebastian's seen him, and he's heading up the ridge towards him. He's going to arrive a similar sort of height. No, Sebastian will arrive a little bit higher, I think. Not a lot, 100 meters higher or something like that. So Peter's done really well. He's ploughed his own furrow, he's gone his own way, and he's arrived in front of multiple world champions and all the rest of them flying together. So he should be very pleased with himself. He's made an excellent flight so far.
Yes,
we're almost the same height now.
Yes, we were a little worried because he was always on the lower part of the thermal band, but he made his own way. I think he was maybe pretty sure where he was going, and it worked out. You can see that Sebastian Kawa, the World Light Championship, had joined at the same altitude, so very well done for Pit Temple.
And we've got Louis and Max flying together now. Because they're not allowed to team fly. There's no team flying. Everybody stays on the same frequency. Everybody has to speak English on this channel, so all information is shared. And whilst we see these 2 French gliders, these 2 French pilots flying together, they will not be communicating, but they'll know pretty much what they're going to do. And they won't get in each other's way, they'll be taking care. A little bit like having 2 in the same Formula 1 team. They would like to help each other, but they certainly won't be giving any ground. There'll be no letting the other guy pass.
Yes, we must say that Pit Temple is flying ES29E as a glider with a little bit less performance than GS3 of Sebastian Kawa. Pit is flying an LX-NAV 9070 plus an Audi 2. Very nice equipment, and we will see what happens.
Yeah, what does Sebastian have in his cockpit these days?
I don't know.
We must check. We're pretty sure that if there's a latest version of the LX 9000 or whatever, that's what's going to be in there. 'Cause it's a brand new glider, the new JS3, looks very nice, and we can be pretty certain that Sebastian will have the very latest equipment that's available. So Didier's got coming in. I don't think he's anything like as high. He needs to get a climb here. Sebastian's climbed, but he hasn't climbed as well as they were before. And Max and Louis are running on in a very good position. With the south wind, they're in a very good spot.
Yes,
now.
yes. Now there are 3 groups of two pilots. Louis Buderlik and Similiam Sais in the southern part, meanwhile Pete Temple and Sebastian Kawa in the middle, and Gilles Navas and I don't remember Fox Delta, Didier House, thank you, who made so well yesterday. Pete, he got stuck in La Carbassa, but they're doing pretty well, and they are taking 3 slightly different routes to arrive to the same point. I think they're about all the 15 kilometers from point. Yes, between 11 and 15 kilometers.
So it's a bit of a race now into the first turning point. If Peter's got the opportunity now to take a little bit of a hike and hang on the back of Sebastian and just have a relax for a moment or two and let Sebastian do the work, but he's not going to do that. He's decided that his route's better. Sebastian's going to run along that ridge into the turning point. It's a 2-kilometer radius, so he doesn't need to go all the way to the mountain. We have 2-kilometer radius turning points in this region because of the issue of trying to get to the top of the mountain when there's clouds, when the wind's in the wrong direction for it, or when it's turbulence. And it can be so difficult sometimes to be at the altitude. So we make sure that the perimeter of the turning point is low enough that you can fly into it and out of it again without getting completely stuck.
Yes, they are jumping now it's called, as we talked yesterday, the Dark Valley, La Vall Fosca, with this little nice town of Capdella, and they jump Lorry mountain, and here is called Locometa. You can see the slopes pretty oriented to the south, to the sun and to the wind, but we will see it work. Usually we are not used to it. Another option was going to this northern mountain, which is Pic Jena. It's as high as this one. But the thing is, here is the valley. This is the Tremp zone with landable places, and something that will be there that's not in the northern, and that's why everybody's chasing the southern route.
And Thilo's with them. Thilo's trucking along, same sort of height, same sort of place. In fact, if anything, he's probably just leading this gaggle. And it's a shame we've lost Thilo's data on the silent wings, but we can keep you informed about his progress. All coming back together now, and Sebastian has lost a little bit on his route, and the reason for that is he's had to cross a valley in a very bad place. And once you have to cross the valley and run into wind down the valley, which he'd had to do, he's lost quite a bit more altitude. Whereas the 2 French pilots and Peter went a little bit more to the left, stayed on the high ground, and then crossed the valley perpendicular. So they took the shortest distance possible across the route with no energy.
Yes, now looking at another system, we can see that 3 Victor Thilo Holy House is with Bravo Sierra, with Pete Temple, the same altitude, about 2,700, 2,600 meters. And now you can see clearly they are about 1,300 meters lower than before. And that's why they are following the ridge, where the sun is hitting all the rocks and the rising air, and that's the route they are following to arrive to Pic Serby.
Excellent view. We really come down and behind them now, Benj. We can really see them flying along the ridge here, and they're just around the top of the ridge, almost perfect with the westerly wind. Of course, if Sebastian's a little lower, I don't think there's much in it, but if it's a little lower, every time there's a ridge pushing out to the south of the mountain, he has to fly around it. Whereas the guys who are a little higher, they can just cruise over the top of it. That extra distance you have to fly makes quite a lot of difference at the end of the ridge line, because he's had to fly maybe half a kilometre or a kilometre more. Bravo Sierra is flying remarkably. He's flying really, really well along here. Peter's doing a really good job. He's got Didier, no, it's not Didier, he's got Louis and Max with him. they'll be having a really good time. It's a really beautiful area to fly along.
Yes,
here.
yes, it is. And they are passing the ridge at about between 100 to 200 meters over it. And now the thing is, the good thing for them is they have a radius of 2 kilometers from the highest point, which is Prix. They are jumping the valley and they don't have to go to the upper part of the mountain. They will touch, and then we will see where will they go.
And it's a security issue. It's a safety issue. Not to push everybody into a tiny, tiny little space on the top of the mountain to make the turn. You leave people enough room that when you get 4 or 5 as we have here, all turning at the same time, there's enough room for everybody and nobody's pushing anybody else too close to the mountain. Very good. Peter looks like he'll be first to turn, or I think Thilo's first to turn, and Peter's with him, followed by Louis, and then followed by, very quickly, by Sebastian and Max. The altitude differences are not considerable. We can see that Bravo, Sierra and Peter Temple and Louis are about the same height. Coming up behind, you've got Gilles, John Gatfield, Peter Krajcek still in the race. He's doing well. If he can keep that up, he'll be in the points. Didier's trying to catch up. Didier's not very high still. He's really pushed along, but he's on the ridge now, so he's just as good as everybody else. They need to be a little bit careful now because we have people coming out the turning point on the ridge, and there's going to be a group going in the turning point on the ridge. They'll be able to see each other with their flams. They'll know the other guys are coming, so they'll keep a good lookout, and they will make some room for each other. It's always a problem in the mountains because it doesn't matter what you do about the direction of the turning point, the way in and the way out is nearly always the same. And it's the ridge run that matters. We would like to see a little bit of height separation. Certainly you can see that they haven't stopped to climb, but they've come up nearly 400 meters in this run. They've got a big gain in altitude without having to change from a straight flight mode into a climbing mode. Yeah, we think that Charlie, which is Christoph and Mike, have come back to Cerdanya. We think that they've probably had a bit of an issue and they've dropped out the race and they've come back, but they're pretty sure they're both okay and they're going to come back to the airfield by the look of it. So we'll keep you informed on that and let you know what happens.
Yes, we must say that Christoph is the third time he comes to Grand Prix de Cerdanya. He's been in both three, in 2016 and 2014 and this year, and he and John Gatfield has a pretty nice way of towing the gliders with their motorbikes. I think they'll need a new habilitation, I don't know.
So Gilles on the ridge running in, and he's going to go past the others, so he's going to be the first of the next group to turn, with Didier not far behind him. Didier stopped to climb, and Peter Krajcek is with him, he stopped to climb. They're probably not going to get the benefit of the ridge if they climb too high because they'll be above the energy line and they really need to push along onto it. Well, that's good. Gilles has passed the others without any issue. And if we look now at the down the valley, we'll see a convergence is formed right down the Cerdanya Valley here.
And the curious thing you can see in front of you at the end is where they are now in Prix, and you can see the southernmost of Cadiz. Last day there were nice clouds and convergence, something like that. Now it's all blue, nothing. I think everybody is choosing the northern route, and there are some strange clouds. I don't know if that is some kind of wake.
But if we're looking at that convergence now to the west, there is a chance you could pick that up from the Colcanto. But our experience here is that if you come under that convergence low down, you just don't get it. You just don't climb.
Yes.
You've got to arrive there really high.
Really high.
For it to work. And this is what happened to Sebastian on the first day. He went looking for the clouds down the valley and was just too low to connect.
He needed about 300 meters more. Should he had them, who could have used all the ridge of the Cadi Mountains and the Crystal Ridge, but it didn't work. If you are 300 or 400 meters down the peaks, it doesn't work. There's nothing there, and it's also wet and forest all around. And the curious thing is this convergence is forming not in the mountains but in the middle of the valley. And it should explain why in the north there is some strange clouds. Maybe it should be wave.
And it could have quite a significant effect on what they do next, because if we have a convergence like that, it may be that the energy line on the mountains is not where it should be. It may be that it makes it much more difficult to find a good line coming out.
Meanwhile, we can see they are going to the third point, which is Coicanto. It's only 31 kilometers. There's no decision to make. They have just run the ridge, jumped to valleys, and nothing special to do.
And do you think they will jump straight onto Lorry and then follow Lorry around onto the col, and then they're through the col and then they're coming home? Yes,
and the Lorry is such a, for us, magnificent mountain that sometimes the end of the valley is 800 meters. It's a landable zone, Zord, and you could be only 200 meters over there, and you go up. You have to be patient there.
It's a big southwest facing mountain with a southwest wind. Sunshine, they should be going into there. We see the speed, they're doing 200 kilometers an hour. It's now, I think the whole of the race on this group hinges on the altitude they can turn Colcanto. If they can turn it high enough to make La Rabassa, they should be able to run all the way home, because La Rabassa will bring them back up to the top. From the top there, it's a ridge run.
Yes.
It's very fast.
Yes, we can see they are going. This is Lorry Mountain, very powerful. This is Coy de Canto. I don't know, Coy. It's a place where it's the lowest one to go to the to another valley. From this zone to here, they are on local glide of short landable, which is here. You can see these fields is not an airfield, but simply a field. And after this Coy, there is Laseu airfield. I think, can you see? They are going to Lorry Mountain.
And we'll look at it on plan view in a moment. And on the plan view, you'll see what they have to do afterwards. So once they got to the lorry, we will look at what happens after here to go on to La Rabassa. And there's La Rabassa, and now we can have a look at the route that they need to take.
Okay. Meanwhile, we can see Adam Zelasky and Aldo Rodriguez took the southern route also. They're passing each other, but with a similar altitude. Gintal is the highest one with 3,000 meters, where the other pilots were slightly lower. And well, we'll take a look what Tilo is going, because we don't see him.
Yeah, so we can see that Mike Delta's got a data issue, so don't worry about that. Highly technical expert here. Angel thinks he can fix that now. Now it's happened a couple of times. He thinks he knows what the issue is. So we won't ask him to explain it because none of us will understand it. But it's he's really very clever at making this data transmission and this telemetric system work well for us. It's looking pretty blue out there, but I don't think that's much of a problem now because they can get through the col. Are they going to climb on the lorry? I'm sure that they'll get altitude as they come round. Sebastian's not stopping. The others are going to be behind them, but there's almost no chance to catch anybody now. And we just lose a bit of data because they're below the top of the mountain. Once they come up above the top of the mountain, then they pick up on the next antenna, which is in the Seo Valley.
Yes, they are arriving
At Laseo Airport.
At the airport at Laseo, yeah.
They are arriving over the top of Lorry Mountain, and you can see that little image. That's the Torre del Lorry, and I think they are circling under that cloud. You can see. Okay, it's pretty nice. They're under that cloud. They will climb and they will keep on going until the next point. We must say that Coicanto is only 13 kilometers from Pic Servi, and once they make Coicanto, we'll have only 85 kilometers left. You can see clearly marked to the left of your screen the ski slopes and also the lake to make artificial snow.
I think they'll keep going. I don't think they need to climb here. They just need to be at a good altitude to go around the column, unless it's really strong. If they get 4 meters, 3-4 meters, then they'll climb. But they can cruise all the way around. They're climbing all the way around the face, all the way up to the top. And they'll come. Peter's decided it's worth a turn. He likes the idea. Will the others decide also it's worth a turn? Well, we'll see. Peter's probably turned a bit prematurely. You need to be right in that bowl where you can see now that Sebastian and Louis and Max have all following it around all the way to the end into the turning point, and then it's a dive for La Rabassa. It's a dive straight across. Well, there's a ridge, isn't there, to the north?
Yes.
They go north a little bit and then follow the ridge line and on to the ridges that run down the north side of the valley. They're a beautiful picture now of them coming all the way around the top of the mountain and into the turning point. They've climbed, what, 200 meters just flying along the face of it there.
Yes, yes. And we must remember yesterday they went slightly north because there were some 5 breaks where there was a climb. It was just in the middle, I think, just in the middle of the point. And I remember, I think Louis Bauderlic or Maximilian just got a thermal over there. Okay, they are leaving Lorry all together with a pit temple just about 1 kilometer after them. And they are going straight to La Rabassa zone. I don't think they are going to the south. We're talking about south mountains are clearly blue. Maybe there are thermals, but anyway, there are no markers. So clearly the best option is going La Rabassa.
And we can see the 2 French and Maximilian and Louis together with Sebastian, but we also know Thilo's with them.
Yes.
And actually Thilo's in front of them. I think they're all chasing Thilo. And Thilo being our overall winner at the moment,
yes.
If he can come home first, he's going to be really happy because you get the extra point for winning. So it's all to go for yet. There's plenty left to play for. And it's now a question of who can find the best route and the best energy on the route home. Nobody's going to want to stop.
Yes. To situate yourself, this is Andorra Valley, Kildemark, and here is the La Rabassa Mountains. Usually it works, and sometimes you just go make ridging, you catch 200 meters, keep on going. And you have 2 options, going straight. And Rico said yesterday, some of them just follow the ridge this way. We will see what they do, but the thing is still is in front of them at the same altitude.
Yeah, they're 2,500. They need to arrive at La Rabassa at 2,100, yes. I think. And if they can arrive at about 2,100, they will be able to go right into the bowl. Oh, we've got a turner here. Yep, they've decided that there's a really strong climb on the southeast side of the Lorry Mountain.
And one interesting thing is that we saw just a few seconds before Adam Zelaski with the goal. We let him many kilometers in the rear, climbing almost to the top of the maximum altitude, and he used that altitude to recover kilometers, not stopped for many kilometers, and I think it's pretty close to this leading group.
It looks like Sebastian and Max have got different ideas about where the thermal is. They're turning in different directions here, but they're not quite in the same circle. Sooner or later, one of them's going to have to give. And I'm pretty sure it won't be Sebastian, because he will probably be in the core. We'll see what happens. But they've got to sort themselves out so there's no real risk here. And there's this Adam. Is he coming on this? Is Adam on this leg now? Or is he still? He's on the way out. He's still on the way out, but he's doing okay. We haven't seen Adam for a while. We haven't seen the guys behind. They've been dropping behind because they didn't get the ridge run. They didn't push. Look at the rates of climb. They're really coming up now. And if they get high here, they won't need to go on to La Rabassa. They can go straight onto the very tops of Mont Turil and just run the top. Yes. They've almost got final glide. I think we'll soon be onto the energy marker and seeing what it looks like. We ought to try it soon, Benj, and then we can compare what it looks like now with when they leave the thermal, with what it looks like when they're running.
Yes, I think they're climbing pretty well. The thing is, maybe the base of the cloud is lower than before. I don't think they climbed to 4,000 meters. And usually here the thermals are weaker, but it seems to be very nice thermal, maybe medium of 2.5, something like this. And the good thing is they are working all together. Maybe they are also flying down one of the few cumulus clouds we can see in our telescope image. Yeah. And the good thing is there seems to be no shadow. The shadow of the spreading out is more to the north.
Yeah, I don't think there's much of a problem now. They've got really good conditions.
Yeah.
They're going to be home in half an hour or so. They've got, how far they got to run? 80 kilometers. They're going to be doing 140 kilometers an hour or more. 106, no, more than that, I would think. 160 kilometers an hour from now on, at least. So that's half an hour. The interesting thing to watch now is we've got a Ventus 3, the Tilo. We've got two Junkers JS1 Evos and a JS3. No, what was Louis flying?
All JS3.
Sorry?
All JS3.
They're all flying JS3s. All right, the two French are flying JS3 as well. So we've got three JS3s and a Ventus 3 and
A G29.
and a G29 with Peter Temple. But it's not a fair competition because he's below. Although he seems to be catching up pretty quick.
Yes.
He seems to be only a little bit behind now. If the thermal is pushing hard from underneath, it'll push him up to the altitude of the others. There's nobody will want to be the first to leave. They'll all want to see. They'll want to go together.
Yes, I think he only has a slight difference between 40 to 60 meters. They are pretty close, so really it's a whole group, not much difference.
Will they go from here to the north and take the ridge and follow the ridge along, or will they go direct? They've certainly got the altitude to go direct.
Yes, they can do it. I think they will only lose about 200, 300 meters to Recto La Rabassa. And in the middle, you can see how they jump.
Yeah, Peter's decided he's going direct. We know that Tilo's gone direct, but we know that Tilo didn't get this climb. Tilo just carried on. So we have a different strategy now. Tilo's has taken the very high risk option of just keeping going until he pulls up onto the ridge ahead. And Peter, he's heading for the ridge. And Sebastian and Max and Louis look like they're going a little bit further to the north.
Yes. This is the end of their actual cruise. This is La Rabassa Mountains. We can see for today's task, Cadi Mountains, we don't expect nobody going there because it's blue, nothing. And the thing is, after La Rabassa, they will go over the ridge or go to the middle of the valley where we showed you the convergence there. That's the thing. What will they do?
Yeah, well, whatever they do, they're going to end up on La Rabassa and Monturil, and I think it depends entirely on the height. The altitude that you arrive there is going to determine how fast you can fly, and the ones who arrive the highest are going to be able to run fastest.
Yes.
And that's going to make a very big difference in the final flight.
Yes. Now we can see Pete Temple by its own way and Sebastian Kawa in the group 3. It's interesting to see they have already the same altitude, almost. And what's the difference of altitude they arrived to La Rabassa zone? If it's worth for the three pilots to make the deviation or not. It's clearly a nice deviation. There will be something.
There must be some convergence.
Yes.
There must be clouds along the top.
Yes.
And they think that the deviation is worth it to get the run along the clouds, because actually they're going a long way off track now. And I don't think they're still climbing. Well, yes, they're still climbing, so there might be a wave. And there's nearly always wave behind the Lorry Mountain, so maybe what they've done is picked up that wave off the back of the Lorry Mountain. We can see that they're cruising north, climbing all the time. Stopping to climb here. Tilo's gone on, he's getting lower, but he's gone on towards La Rabassa. Maybe it'll be a good strategy. Yeah, and Tilo's coming up to the mountain at La Rabassa, but he's not very high. He's only 2,200 meters, but he's a long way ahead now. He's a long way ahead. So if he can manage to make it work and just cruise along in the lift, he's going to do okay. But equally, they've got an altitude now which gives them final line. Maybe we could look at the energy bench and see how much energy is available to these guys and what they need. Yeah, they're only 600 meters short, they will pick up at least half of that with energy. So they're actually coming up through 3,000 meters. They should be leaving at about 3.2, 3.5, and that will give them a very fast run home.
Yes, there might be a nice cumulus there, one of the few we spot from here. They are climbing together. Meanwhile, Pete Temple is going straight to the valley. He has lost about, not much, but 100, 150 meters. And meanwhile, the group is climbing maybe to go to the clouds to the north. And meanwhile, we could take a look what's happening a little bit of the rear of the leading group. Where are the other pilots?
Yeah, and Fox Kilo seems to have climbed up onto the top of this. There's John Gatfield is coming along now with Thomas and Lucas and Gilles. They're all coming into the turning point now, and we can see that they're probably going to do exactly the same thing. I can't see the altitude that Thomas and Graham have got, but I suspect that they're about 2.5, 2.6, something like that.
Okay, we can see the distance left to finish line. Peter Temple is at the front, 12 kilometers, but about 400, 500 meters below the following group, the main group, with Louis Bourlake, Maximilian and Sebastian. And the other two pilots after them are Gilles Navas and Graham Parker, about 7 kilometers from there. And farther away, Eugenie, Aldo and John Gatfield.
Yeah, so what I thought these guys would do is go straight to Larabasha and fly the ridge. But they've chosen to get the altitude they need to glide because they are coming up to a point now where they've got a final glide. And they've chosen to take the high ground along here. And so we will be able to see, we shall be able to see which of the strategies is better. Peter's gone on. He's run on and he's doing okay at the moment. He's got 2.5 on the edge of Larabasha, which is good, and he's climbed a little bit. Tilo's gone on, but he's not very high. Tilo's probably taking a little bit too risky a strategy. He's probably just a little bit too low, but let's see. If he pulls it off, it'll be brilliant. And he will be very, very happy. If he doesn't, he'll still be happy because he's Tilo.
Okay, now we have again with us Sergi Pujol. And please, what do you think of the task? What do you think of that line of clouds just formed just in the middle of the valley?
Well, the clouds in the middle of the valley, it looks like we have some wave or some convergence. That means that I think the pilots have to go there. And for the moment, Pete Temple is going to Larabasha, and he has to take some altitude late here, because it's not later, the mountain that it's from Larabasha, it's La Carvasa. And it hits low there, he have to make a really good deviation to the south. And for their side, the pilots like Buderlik or Maximilian and Kawa, it's taking altitude and he have to just arrive to the top of the ridge of La Robasa and later have to go straight ahead. And I think it's, we are 2.8, it's almost in final glide.
And they'll be flying very fast now. Louis is flying at 230 kilometers an hour, which is what you'd expect. He's got 70 kilometers go. He's fat with altitude. We'll see that the negative number you see on the right now, that will slowly decrease and then it'll become a positive number. That's assuming they're finding energy lines. And you can see from the speed they're flying, they really feel as if they're going to be able to pull it back. Peter is really not, he's flying slowly because he's in the area of the lift. He's slowed down, he's cruising along, and he's going up as he flies straight. He's really in a good position now, and we can see that he's pulling back all the time the altitude that's required, and he's also got, at least 5-6 kilometers on the other guys. He'll be flying slower for the moment, but he'll be able to push that speed up as he continues.
Yeah. You can see Bravo Sierra now it's at 248, and the others it's 2627. Louis Boderlik and Maximilian and Kawa, he will arrive to the top of the ridge, and he has to follow the ridge. And an important thing is they have to pass over the La Carbassa, that is in the mountain that it's in front of Bravo Sierra. If Bravo Sierra don't have enough altitude, he have to go to the south, and he will lose a lot of time. For their side, if you take altitude in La Rabassa, you can pass higher. Now this is La Rabassa. This is the way that if you don't have altitude, you have to take, and if you have to altitude, you pass here, and it's just straight ahead. You don't have to to take more thermals, because later it's all a good line of energy. But otherwise, we can see in the middle of the valley, we have a line of clouds that maybe put some problems to the pilots.
Yeah, it depends if it pulls the wind off the hill. If
Yeah.
it stops the wind on the hill and they're expecting good ridge lift, then they'll have a really hard time. But of course, the chances are that the higher guys, the Louis and Max and Sebastian, they don't have to worry too much about that now,
Yeah.
because they've really got the altitude to come home.
Yeah.
Peter hasn't quite got that altitude, and we know that Thilo definitely hasn't. Thilo's taken the option to push very hard and low, and he's doing that. He's got a long way ahead, but he's much, much lower, and he's got to have the ridge working for him. He
Yeah.
doesn't have the altitude to get home. So if the ridge doesn't work, Thilo's not going to do it.
Yeah, we can see now the other group, Maximilian, Sebastian, and Louis, that is arriving to La Rabassa, and he has 2,500 meters, and he has to try to arrive to the ridge, because the ridge, the normal is smooth and works really good. If not, you have to take the way of Bravo Sierra, and he will lose a lot of time for going to the south, and for arrive the same place of Maranjas later.
They're really maintaining their height here, aren't they? They're running very well. They're not coming down. They can go right over the top. These guys are home. They're going to find it fairly easy now to make this glide. They're going to want to beat each other. The final glide could be very interesting with this.
Yeah, sure. It's now he keep the altitude in this moment. Just La Carbassa, he will be he will have a really interesting final, Brian.
And Bravo Sierra is remarkably pushing on, and he's doing really nicely. He's now passing over the frozen lakes and the refuge. He'll be right on the top there at that altitude, or do you think he's had to come out? No, he's right on the top, isn't he?
No, Bravo Sierra, he have to take. See, if he wants to pass for the north, he needs maybe 300 or 400 meters more. If not, he have to go to the down of the ridge of La Carbassa.
Yeah. But if he does go round that ridge, that's the Puimaron Valley we're looking into now. Oh, no, it's not.
No.
Okay, we're looking at Caravaggio. Okay, he's really got to get over that, hasn't he?
Yeah.
But he's about level with the top now.
Yeah, but in the front of Peter, in the normal, we found a really good thermal.
Yeah,
I remember in the qualifying of 14 that we had made here, Thilo Holyhouse win at days because he take the amazing thermal there.
So we're going to look at a picture now, and we think we've got a picture of Thilo seeing how fast he can go along the ridge. He's really taking the game to the others. He's really pushing it, and he's down on the side of the mountain, going as fast as he can. We can just pick him out there, going along the face. You can see he's not very high. He's assuming all the way and hoping that this is going to work.
What is the altitude?
And he's
of
going
Thilo?
very fast, and he's about 1,800 meters along there. He's past the Puimaron Valley. He's onto the ridge that comes up to Font-Romeu. Do you think it'll work all the way along, Jaume? Do you think he'll be able to find lift all the way along that ridge?
It should work with this. Remember, it's a normal day with breeze, with south-westerly wind here. Maybe we could see his data, Benjamin, to see if he's gaining altitude or not losing. No, it's okay. But he's doing the same path we take here with Sergi and other local pilots when we are on final glide.
Yeah, well, he's got a little way to go yet. He's still a bit short of energy, but he's certainly not slowing down, and he's confident.
Yes.
We're the ones that are worried. Yeah? We're the ones that are worried about this, because it's very interesting to see if he manages to pull this off.
Okay, maybe we could see, Gerard, an image updated of how the weather looks like in the middle of the valley. We can see that that strange line, strange clouds of convergence, and we were out, and there was the south wind is going more and more, about 15 knots from south, and that's why maybe we see some strange clouds, could be wave clouds, but to the western part of the task.
Yeah, it could be off the wave off the caddy, but of course, what height does Thilo need to turn to come home? What sort of height will you need at the turning point to be comfortable coming home?
From Font Solar?
Yeah, from Font Solar.
I think 1,000, maybe 800 meters, something like that.
Okay, so assuming no energy, he's got a minimum of 1,300, so he's going to need about 500. How far is it coming back?
It's 18 kilometers.
It's 18 kilometers, so yeah, he's going to need about 1, 2...
With arrival altitude of 1,300 meters, and these glides maybe 1,800, maybe a little more.
He's going to need 1,800 or 1,900, and he's currently got about 1,700. So he needs the energy, and he's not at the turn yet, and he needs to turn. So he's coming into the Font Solar now to turn. So let's go back to the silent wings, and we'll see what's happening here.
Yes, we can see...
he's turned at about 1,700 meters, so if he still gets that energy, he's going to be coming home.
Perfect. Okay, and the chasing group is Louis Bauderlic, Sebastian Kawa, Maximilian Saiz a little bit back, and maybe we could put the image of Thilo Holyhouse. He's almost going to turn the waypoint. We can see him just over the French villages. Okay, Pete Temple keeps on going southern route. He's about 200 meters less. Could be interesting.
Yeah, Thilo has shown that you can do it low down. In Chile, we had some ridge running like this, remarkably low altitude, but it worked really well. Rennie can probably tell us all about that. When you go south from Santiago, very exciting to do. Thilo will be really enjoying that, because that's the sort of thing that will make him very happy if he can pull this off, and if he can maintain his altitude going down that leg. Yeah. So he's still maintaining altitude, and we've still got Peter. Peter had to go a long way out.
Yes.
He's had to go round Caravaggio, which is going to cost him a little bit of time.
Just
looks like Sebastian's heading that way as well.
Yes, we can see right now the live image. Thilo is already making the third point. He's over Dorres and Font Romeu villages, and from now is the check control. He's 18 kilometers from the finish line, and the thing is, he has the distance. We don't know if he had the altitude.
Yeah, and he must know that he's first at the moment, and he must know that there's no point in pushing now. He needs just to get home, and he needs to slow down. So we're now looking at Sebastian trying to catch Peter Temple. Sebastian is probably, he's turning. Sebastian's decided to make a turn here. And Peter's making a turn. These guys have got plenty of altitude.
Yes.
Thilo went past here at about 1,800 meters, doing 230 kilometers an hour. I think he's got a jet today.
Yes.
And of course, as always with these things, if they don't know that, if they were together and he was doing it, they'd all do it. Yeah?
Yes.
But they're all actually taking it a bit easy, because they're all thinking that one of these guys is going to be the winner. And they don't realize that if Thilo gets it back now, if he does this, well, he's going to be drinking tea by the time they come home.
Yes. And meanwhile, Louis also has a stop in the northern slopes of the Maranhos Valley. You could see in the down part of the screen. Now all the three southern, Pete, Sebastian and Maximilian, are going to the point. Also Louis Bauderlic, I don't know. No, so he's making another turn.
Come on, Louis, you've got enough now. You can get on with it.
Yes.
Let's go. It's get around the corner there. I know it's a great place to climb, but you've got energy all the way along the edge of the ridge. But actually, if you see the cloud in the middle of the valley, it might make you feel a bit nervous. You might feel a little bit nervous about what might be ahead.
Yes,
and you think, well, I'm with 4 guys here. Why do I really need to push it now? If Thilo has made it, well, okay, good old Thilo, but why do I need to push it? I don't need to be the one who really goes.
Yes, but the thing is, maybe I have the height necessary to end, but if I find the bump super thermal, I make some thermals there, some circles, and so I have extra speed to gain the other 3. It will be interesting who is the second, Pete, Sebastian and Maximilian. Close altitude, Louis Buderlik is the highest. I think he will go faster than the others. Maybe we could put the data of Louis also down against one of the 3. Maybe Buderlik against Pete. Okay, he's 300 meters more and a slightly higher ground speed. He's cruising at 240 kilometers per hour. Meanwhile, Pete Temple is 4 kilometers less. And Pete seems to go to the south, and all the 3 are going to Carlit Mountains. I don't understand it.
Yeah. And can we put the altitude required on bench, and we'll see that actually they've got plenty. We can look there. Well, I'm surprised. In Grand Prix normally we see very, very fine final glides. We see final glides where they take every single ounce of energy in the glide. They don't build it up, they use the glide and to get the best glide they can. And what they've done here is they've taken altitude. And I can only imagine it's because they've made this race between them.
Yes.
And it looks to me like Louis is well ahead. Louis is going to pull this back quite easily. Sebastian's going to be close behind Louis. I bet Bravo Sierra, Peter might still get back first. He's quite a bit lower, but he's a little bit further on. If we can just check the distance to run bench to the turn point. We got it down here, haven't we? It's distance left 28 and 31. So there's actually only 3 kilometers in it, but Louis got 500 meters more. Sebastian's turning.
Yes.
I don't get that. I just don't get that at all. Why would you turn when you've already got 250 meters above glide and a ridge line and a south wind? Yep, maybe Sebastian's seeing something that we can't see.
Yes, it's a nice question to ask them when they land.
Yeah.
And we will look at the ground speed. He knows he has the altitude and now is cruising fast. Just a few seconds before we could see he was at 250 kilometers per hour and climbing at 3-4 meters per second. So nice thermal there over Carlit Mountains. I think he will overpass very quick Pete Temple, but I think Pete Temple anyway will make the finish line. The thing is, which position will he have?
And Peter was flying a glider that's probably not got quite the performance of Louis at this sort of speed. He's probably going to find it very difficult to hold that. But we've seen before how difficult it is to catch somebody. And I'm not sure what we're looking at there. It looks to me like they're going to come in. No, but I think we should just stick with this pair now for a while. We want to see Peter turn, we want to see Louis turn, and we want to see what happens behind them. So Louis is always closing the gap. He's always got that extra bit of altitude. Another 100 meters on Peter, and that's enough. That's enough to get that kilometer he needs. He's going much faster. He's doing 50 kilometers an hour more. He's going to overhaul him quite quickly. But I don't think Peter will be too unhappy about that because he had a fantastic flight and he's going to be in the money. He's going to be well into the money on this. The question now is, can Sebastian catch him and can Max catch him? What's going to happen between Sebastian and Max? They're going to be having a little fight. Louis is obviously going to take this one.
They are passing the solar plant, and this is the other group of 2 following Pete and Louis.
Sebastian's got the hammer down. He's pushing and pushing. So we know that Thilo is actually finishing. So that's really terrific for Thilo. That's really terrific. I'm so surprised that he took such a risk when he's already winning. Shows great character. If you're ahead in the overall and you take the most aggressive strategy, well, that says a lot for the character of the pilot. And we can see now that Maximilian and Sebastian are going to be doing this all the way back. So whilst we look at Peter and Louis going around the turn, Louis is obviously going to pull away here. There's no way I think that Peter can pull back on it. They're flying at quite different speeds. Louis is flying quite a lot faster. And I think that we'll see that the JS3 is going to be quite a bit better in performance at these sort of speeds. Peter probably won't be able to hold this, which just goes to show what a remarkable flight he's had. He's not flying quite the same glider.
No, it has a slightly difference of performance within these gliders. And now we can see a fight between two GS3, Maximilian against Sebastian, both very, very good pilots with, I think, the same altitude, maybe a little slight more ground speed for Sebastian, but pretty close.
Yeah, they're pretty close. I'm not sure that Sebastian won't and Max won't catch Peter on the way home. They're not that far behind him now. We'll see when they've turned. We can see the distance to run, but it could be that Sebastian will be concentrating much more on Maximilian than he will be on catching Peter. He will see him on his flarm. You'll probably see him anyway. He'll see they're on the way home, and he'll be thinking, can I get him? Can I catch him up? Same height, same speed, distance left 16. He's got 2 kilometers to catch him up. He's got a better performance glider. So it's just possible. Well, I don't know what the distance is, Benj, between them, but it will be interesting to see. Max has really cut it fine. He's done a good turn there. Sebastian did his usual very quick turn. He mastered this in the World Air Games at Dubai.
Yes, it seems a World War II chase. Sebastian Kawa chasing Pete and Maximilian chasing Sebastian.
Yeah. So this is the cat being chased, well, the mouse being chased by 2 big fiery cats. So we can probably put the distance on between Peter and Sebastian and see if that closes down very much, Benj, over the next couple of kilometres. 15 kilometres to go, not very far. Quite a big ash to catch, which we can see. We can see that they've got the energy, they've got the height. Actually, Peter's got the speed up now. If he can fly at that speed, they won't catch him.
I don't think they catch them.
They've got to fly at 260 kilometers an hour.
Even though I think that distance is increasing, Peter is putting some more distance in between. And I think it's clear Pete will win the other two. But the thing is between Sebastian and Maximilian, very interesting race between very good pilots with similar planes. So and in the same path.
And Peter's doing the right thing. He's not being too conservative. He's flying at a speed that makes it very difficult to catch him. And he will have worked out exactly what speed he needs to get the 1300 minimum altitude. So what's Max going to do? Is there anything Max can do? I don't think so. I think they're going to be stuck like this because Sebastian is going to go to 1300 meters.
Yes.
Sebastian is going to take this down to 1300 meters. So Max could just risk, because Sebastian's going to have a buffer. He'll probably allow 20 meters or 10 meters. Max might take advantage of that. So the distance between them, Benj, if we can keep the run on, I don't think it's closing, is it? Let's just see if that actually changes very much.
Well,
you can see that they...
Pete is clearly in front of them. And, well, slight difference.
I don't think Max can do it. I don't think he's got any chance. Sebastian isn't a pilot who will waste any energy at all. He's a very accurate pilot, and they've got the same height, same speed, same gliders, same wing loading.
Yes,
he doesn't really stand much of a chance of getting him at all. So we're looking at Peter Temple being second, and we're looking at Sebastian being third, and Maximilian. Sorry, what happened to Louis? It was Louis, wasn't it? Louis will be second. Peter Temple third, Sebastian fourth, and Max will be fifth at this rate.
Yes.
So once these are finished, Jaume, you can keep us in the finish to the points. I'll just go and see what's going on outside.
Perfect.
What a great race. What a lot of fun.
Very nice, with such great conditions. Some tricky conditions to the west part, with payload taking different routes to arrive to Arabasa, and Chilo not stopping, but the chasing group formed by four gliders, they stop once or twice, Sebastian, Louis, and well, I think anyone got their strategies, and that's the result of it. We can see Luis is arriving, second one, well done, and Pete Temple is the third. We'll be very happy. Yesterday he was talking us about the difficulties he had to go out when the north part seemed not to work until they find a nice thermal to go out. And well, it seems clear that Sebastian will be the fourth one. Follow Maximilian sees the distance between 300-400 meters, something like that, even though more. It's just right because it seemed to be similar planes, similar wind loadings, but the distance is changed from 200 to 700 meters. We're very curious with the same altitude, but Maximilian is cruising at a slightly lower speed. Maybe the Maximilian had a problem with that, or with the water loading, something like that. But a slightly lower difference from Sebastian. Maybe another question to ask for them. And it's pretty nice always to see them landing, and there run our reporters to ask just after that nice finish over the Cerdanya Alfink airfield, jettisoning all the water, and to ask them how they feel, how it was. And Sebastian Kawa just made it in front of Maximilian. Pietr is the one following them. Well done for Pietr. Of course, we always tend to focus on the leading group, on the 5, 6, 7 pilots in front of the race, and it's been a narrow race. And well, it seems to me that a couple of pilots didn't make it, just landed over the airfield. We'll see who is the one. And it's always happy to be here, to see the conditions, and nice sky here. A day with different conditions from last days. Southern mountains and southern route was an option today, not an option. Anyway, nobody make it. And the thing was just who took the 3 middle routes, southern, middle, or northern, to arrive to the western point, Pixarby. And it's very nice anyway. I think the pilots are enjoying pretty much. We have the 3 cavas, or it's Catalan champagne in the refrigerator, ready for the podium. And meanwhile, we could see 2 images. It's just Pietro arriving, Louis after him. Very strange because Louis climbed 500 more meters and is arriving lower than the group who was with. We'll have to analyze them in the computer. And Pietro arriving. Oh, landing. Thank you, Benjamin. He's already landing because they joined the pilots arriving with the pilots already landing into runway 25. And now we can see Didier House, maybe Gerard, Benjamin, and Angel. We could leave the broadcasting here. It's very nice to talk for you. Thank you for everything. We hope you are here. You are here with us tomorrow. And meanwhile, we can see one of the latest gliders. I think it's Didier House arriving. Also, you can see him passing over the nice fields of La Cerdanya. He's directing runway 25. He's already, here we can see him landing. You can see the shadow. He's passing the wing indicator and us running, just running to 25. Okay, thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for following us. We expect to have your commentaries, your questions on YouTube, and please Stay tuned to have this, to you have the better highlights of this race 3, task 3. We'll see what we can expect from tomorrow's day when the weather is, we are waiting to update the data because it's not clear, and just say goodbye, see you tomorrow, thank you for everything, thank you everyone.
And we come with you. Bye bye.